Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Iron Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had Multiple Sentient Quirk. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. He should have expected this. At the age of 4, Izuku Midoriya learned that not all men are created equal, and no matter how hard people try to push, no man is created equal, especially if they are in the minority. Izuku Midoriya is in the minority. His smile falls. And oh, does falling sound so freeing. The wind against his skin, possibly the only kisses he gets on it. Sound would all fuse together to a steady and reassuring hum. The streets would be empty and deserted. He didn't want to traumatize anyone. Would the sky be a deep blue or maybe a blue that sang to the birds? Would anyone see him and just reach out? Or would they not bother, knowing not everyone can be safe? He wonders. Not yet. There's a loud explosion, followed up by another one, and before Izuku could fall freely, his hero mind wanders down the flight of stairs and to the location of his first villain encounter. It almost felt natural, like the other times he sprinted to watch the heroes win to save. Now this almost seems set up, rushing to be in a villain attack. Second. Then again, he wasn't rushing to be in danger in the first place. He isn't even ruining to the second location. His feet just moved on their own to the sounds of a familiar starburst explosion. There's a group of civilians behind. There's a group of heroes protecting the other civilians but not saving the hostage. Wait, Izuku knows the hostage. It's the boy who gave the idea of falling. And he's in danger. His eyes plead red at Izuku. Save me. Help me. Someone. Pushing past the others, there's nothing in the boy's mind except knowing he has to save him. His feet pound against the pavement, trying to reach in closer to his friend. Save him. Save him. Save him. His mind caught up to his body as he flings the yellow backpack to the villain who'd taken him hostage not so long ago. An object poking his eye. For those costly moments before the number 1 came, the slime villain loosens the hold against Bakugo Katsuki. Izuku doesn't know if those moments helped Katsuki, but he wishes it did. He doesn't know what he would do if it messed everything up, like the heroes scold him for being so reckless. They yell at him for doing the most foolishness thing he could have done. Of course it didn't help when they caught wind of his quirklessness. All the while he finds it funny. Funny, they're scolding him for doing their job safe. So yeah, it's funny. Isn't it always a priority to save? Later, when Katsuki comes to yell at Izuku, claiming he didn't need his help, the desire to fall doesn't loosen. When Izuku starts to walk back home, the feeling only slightly lets up because he realizes that those key seconds helped keep Kaken alive. Sadly, those moments only settle within him before it's pushed away from the feelings of gooey substance, an emotion of shame and failure, all accompanied by a deep-rooted gut feeling of annoyance. Except, Izuku doesn't want to carry that around, so he'll settle with blaming the goo. He thinks about how the goo felt, and it was only seconds compared to the ashen blonde. That the gooey ink lodged into the lungs couldn't have been better for the blonde than the greenette. It also makes Izuku wonder. Had he inspired All Might to take action? Surely, he was there before Izuku. After all, he went down the stairs before, so he must have heard the explosion. It's why he got there so quickly. Eventually, it leads him into a spiraling rabbit hole, only to be interrupted by the same man who crushed his dreams. Why is he here? All Might. Izuku brightened. His smile was radiant and contagious. Young man, I would like to thank you for sprinting into action. Had it not been for you, I wouldn't have sprung up myself, and who knows what would have happened had it been the fate dash. All Might himself was thankful, but it wouldn't matter in seconds to come. Months to come, and maybe even years later. Oh, of course. Izuku's smile didn't dampen. On the contrary, it only seemed to radiate even more. Soon it would. Please do not interrupt me. His tone firm and eyes narrowed slightly. Oh? Years of torment taught Izuku well and quick that when an adult uses nothing good was to come, he was more than aware of what's to come. Before All Might could speak, he coughed up liters of blood. It didn't stop him. Young man, what you did out there was dangerous and reckless, and you should have left it to the pros. Do you know how much damage you would have caused had I not been there? The young boy couldn't contain his thoughts. There were millions and millions, but the question slipped out before he had a chance to think. Did you say you were inspired by me? Yes, but that is not the point. Far from it, actually. Besides, when I said inspire, I meant it as a way of heroism. So my actions were heroic, but you're not grateful for them because I'm quirkless, saying the least, yet you still are because I'm quirkless? I'm sorry, All Might, but I don't understand. It's either you're grateful for my actions or are simply dismissing me because of my status, which isn't fair of you. So let me ask you one question and I'll quiet down. Is that okay, sir? Izuku had his eyes set on the skeleton of a man, and the usual emeralds were nothing more than scarily vivid, clover eyes. It took All Might a moment to calm down. He wasn't used to not being comprehended. Is that what he felt? Or was it more along the lines of disgust? Yes, it would be best for you to let your excitement out. He coughed again. Eyes set stone on the green individual. All Might, sir, can I or can I not become a hero in today's society without a quirk? As soon as he said that, blood rushed to Izuku's ears. He forced his head down. Whatever confidence or anger he felt had vanished. His cheeks flourished with a rich pink and his body stood firm. He was trembling inside as he didn't know what to expect. Well, he did, just not to this extent. How can one be a hero who smiles kindly and yet smile and laugh down at a person? No. As I said before on the rooftop, you cannot be hero without a quirk in today's society. What you did, going after that villain, was dangerous. You are quirkless, my boy, and therefore inferior to us rest. Had something happened to you, the heroes would have been put to blame as a quirkless teen, such as yourself, gone out. Do you realize their careers could have been jeopardized before the public had even known you were quirkless? The damage would have been done. Not to mention the other young boy would have been in more danger. His quirk is powerful and it helped dash. He caused the fires, endangering other civilians. And because of how powerful Kaken's quirk is, it led to the other heroes to help others instead of the hostage. Because of me, Kaken had the chance to breathe before he couldn't again. Izuku knew that arguing with the number one was beyond stupid, to put it simple. But at this moment he thought All Might, his idol, was the idiot here, not him. Going back on his words all because he lacked a quirk? Therefore lacking the properties to be classified as a citizen, no, a human. Do not cut me off again, young man. A glint casted the eyes of the idol. Izuku has only seen it be used against villains. He puffed up again so he got the full experience. It terrified him. Sorry. Izuku didn't dare match his eyes with the symbol again. Young man, if you have no quirk, you have no status. You're not even considered a person, so how can you be a hero? You'll be killed and the efforts made by those who believed in you, wasted. Surely you can take up other respectful jobs such as being a doctor or a policeman. As All Might crushed Izuku's dream, his own form started to deflate and white smoke appeared instead. I suppose you do have a point. Though, as you stated, it's because I don't have a quirk that they'll never think twice on hiring me. I'm not even a candidate. So I just thought that maybe I could change the world and be the first quirkless hero. Now, I'm sure there is no point in trying, thank you. If that is all you would have liked to say to me, then I'll head on my way home now. Excuse me. The whole encounter left Izuku Midoriya with the same taste that villain had left him with. His throat seemed to be covered in raw gooey slime. His skin hadn't felt much better either. Yet this time, it was even bitter and increasingly suffocating. He guessed it would be the last time he saw All Might. He was soon to be mistaken. As for now, he can have his rest. Infinity degree, /. Thanking his stars, his mother hadn't seen or heard of the sludge villain incident. He didn't want to worry her for the last few days she'll ever see him. Izuku didn't want to die. No one did. He had dreams to pursue and people to save. So many people to save, such as the ones others couldn't save or didn't want to. It's a hero's job to save everyone. He knew that, but he also knew he couldn't save anyone if he wasn't to save himself first. Countless beatings from peers, a constantly worrying mother just because of something he wasn't born with, and the number one hero telling him what others had tried to get into his head. What happened was only a couple of hours ago, but it led to a restless night of sleep and a permanent frown. Degree infinity degree, backslash. Something deep in All Might felt heavy, he felt heavy and awful. It was like his own insides wanted him gone for good this time. Forget about the stomach and lung. For now he won't know it was the vestiges he carried within brewing up with anger and sympathy. He won't know how badly he messed up and how grateful he should be for heroes who saved Izuku Midoriya. To thank those same lucky stars that Izuku Midoriya is a hero. Where the vestiges lie, many glared at the woman, not truly meaning any of it but angry with the donkey she chose as they choose as well. The first holder sighed deeply. Shimura, I know we also agreed on Toshinori, but what kind of fuckery is this? There wasn't even a moment of pause before the seventh holder lashed. I don't know. The demon brat was quirkless once too. What's the problem now, Toshi? Sweet cherries, first, I'm deeply sorry on my successor's narrow mind. Shimura apologized deeply. Never did she imagine how cruel her student could be. He was once quirkless too, and his dream was far bigger than sweet Midoriya. If it was his worry about the little guy getting hurt understandable, just tell him to work harder. It wasn't that though, and it sure as hell isn't impossible. It wasn't that though. Kami. It wasn't that at all. He told the boy he'd be useless to the heroes and be a bother. He's a hero for Kami's sake. A hero inspires others, encourages them, fights for them, and protects them. He hadn't done any of that. The boy had more heroism than All Might himself. Shimura wasn't the only one feeling this way, the other past holders felt the same. They felt the same anger and horror. What do we do now? Nana asked quietly. She knew what she wanted to do, help Midoriya Izuku to become the best hero there is. Ever will be. She took a deep and closing her eyes temporarily. It was quiet until she drew her breath out. That I for one, know what I want to do. I want to help him become a hero, the greatest one to ever live. He will become a hero with our power, know his power. We train him to be a hero. We help him become a hero. Train him to become the best FANG hero. Lead him to his dream of becoming a hero. One that will serve hope and love, but he won't be the only symbol. It's too much to bear. I agree with first, look at the donkey now. He got to chase his dream and accomplish it. Even so, he doesn't have much time left. When he's gone, who will step up? The heroes? Certainly they'll try, but who can agree on one so quickly? Who will carry the burden? The one All Might and Sir Knight I have chosen? The fifth user spoke angrily. He's a great kid, don't get me wrong. Shimura sighed, but he isn't that history will only repeat itself. Besides, they've only chosen him for his outstanding progress with his quirk. He has a good heart, but there's nothing more. But a quirk isn't what makes the hero. It's their heart. I'm sure Mirio has a wonderful heart, but where do we stand? I don't know about you all, but I stand with Midoriya-kun. Nana announced. Shortly after, the others agreed. Well, all except one. First. It took the first user some time to announce his own ideas. It didn't disappoint them in the slightest. We train him with one for all, allow him to access all of our quirks, get him into UA, show All Might how wrong he is, and help him become the greatest hero of all time. We become Midoriya Izuku's heroes. Plus Ultra or whatever. You filthy Gen Zer. The second user sighed. At least I'm not a sticky iPad kid user. Oh hell no. You two aren't starting sheet again. While All Might still felt heavy and regretful for some off reason, the users inside ended up arguing about former lives and generations. Ultimately deciding that the next true holder of one for all will be Midoriya Izuku. Nothing will get in their way. Mark their words. Midoriya Izuku will become a future symbol. Symbol for... Hey, say it. Say it, you beach. What is this, breaking the fourth wall? Fine, whatever. As the school motto goes, plus ultra. Katsuki Bakugo likes to think of himself as the best. All his life, people have told him such, so why wouldn't it be true? He's got the quirk, a loving family, a rich family, people who admire him, a best friend. No, not that. Whatever, it doesn't matter anyways. Being the best sometimes mean that relying on others isn't a requirement to become the greatest hero of all time. Look at All Might, he's the #1 hero, the greatest, not for long of course, and he has no one besides him. He doing mighty fine. Well, that's not entirely true. He did have someone by his side around 6 years ago or so. He's a fine hero too, and his name is Sir Night-Eye. They were a good duo, while one of them was brawn, the other was the brains. It made him think that he and Deku would be a pair like that, they'd be unstoppable. It lasted a good couple of years before the duo stopped and became no more. It was around that time where he began to torment his former best friend. It wasn't always bruises and burns. There would mostly be words of hatred without and fierce sentiment of loathing. He hates how he could say that. Abuse is still abuse. What he hates even more is that he only realizes that now. Now after he told his best friend to go die and pray to even be considered a human. After he burnt his friend so much that he holds an arm to his shoulder. Now after his victim saves him when no one else would or even tried. He has to apologize and thank him. He has to. Before it's too late. That and because no one else has. No one would. He may have walked away from Izuku, but that doesn't mean he got very far. Because of that, he heard when the DM little nerd shouted, "All Might." He heard when the so-called hero told him the same words peers would scream at the kid. Heard his tone and saw his expression. Course he didn't believe it until the BSRD poofed up into his glorious self. A bunch of bullshit is what Katsuki calls it. While he may not have been present in the past years, it doesn't mean he didn't like to be aware of things. What happened today because of him, hurt the boy. What happened today because of the #1 hero, hurt the boy. What will surely happen today because of his caring mother, will hurt even more. It's all because of him. Katsuki Bakugo used to think of himself as the greatest. Now all he thinks of himself is disgusting. Like the goo had left him. No, what made him feel the most revolting is sneering those awful words at Izuku. There wasn't a time to talk to the nerd. So he would just have to talk to him after school. No, he said he would meet those extras after school. Said they would have a surprise for him. To be quite frank, he simply thought it was a stupid, get-well gift. He survived, didn't he? There shouldn't have to be a gift at all. The stupid extras knew better. There wasn't a shitty point to get him anything. Though, the way they've been acting throughout the whole day did make him suspicious. It wouldn't be until after school would he be sick with the surprise they had in mind. It wasn't an accident. Izuku never had any real intention of dying so early. He never thought a villain could be after him. After all, why would they? With his plain looks and status, surely they could do better. Even with all the years of bullying and betrayal, he never wanted to prove that stupid statistic correct or even add another percentile. Kami, the simple thought of that makes his stomach churn. It never even crossed his mind that people would want him gone. All this for some surprise? What a surprise indeed. Two of the closest people Bakugo has acquainted himself with pulled him out of the class right away and telling Bakugo to hurry along. His ashen blonde friend followed, out of confusion he's guessing. When they reached the stairs, Izuku knew what was bound to happen. Unluckily of him, the blonde still didn't even know what was to happen. Reaching the door of the building with no fence around the edge, the others spoke. And when they spoke, they all listened. "Look, Bakugo, we're giving you your wish. Never seeing this Deku ever again. After yesterday, you confirmed our thoughts of just doing his job ourselves. No one cares and it's not the first time. So this won't go on your record, nothing to worry about." The confusion in the blonde's red eyes suddenly cleared away, his face pale as he stuttered out those words. "You G guys don't mean." They mistook that as happiness. Izuku Midoriya would no longer be. They dragged him closer to the edge and the blonde followed quick to stop their movements. Stop, 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 stop. What the hell are you guys doing? This is effing murder." He tried to yell out, but it only came out as a mere whisper. "Stop, stop, stop, stop. Fine, we'll make it look like an accident. Stop, 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 stop. I'll leave if that's what you want, but please, I don't want to die." He fell weak to those around him and Bakugo clawed his way in. As close as he was, one of the extras drew his foot out. "You know what? You may not want him dead, but that doesn't mean the rest of us don't. You can just carry around the thought that you started this all." Stop, 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 stop. He doesn't want to die. He never did. Falling was just a wish he knew he could fulfill by bungee jumping or something else. He was too weak to even try. Or maybe he was too strong to even try. He doesn't want to die. A hard push on Izuku's chest pulled him back into reality. His feet stumbling across the border almost like he tripped. His mouth fell dry. Falling is supposed to feel freeing, not like he's being suffocated in the goo again. Falling is supposed to be freeing, not like a cage around his shoulders and a brick tied to his foot. Falling isn't supposed to happen. He doesn't want to look, and his ears fell dead the moment the air seeped into them. In a faint distance he could taste the nitroglycerin-like substance from Kaken's hands. A couple of droplets that don't tune into an explosion and instead fell down due to the pull of gravity. Nonetheless, it brought back the scream that was stuck in his throat. It brought him back to his senses that no, he didn't want to die, and if he could taste the burnt caramel from his friend's hands, then he doesn't have to die in vain. Katsuki is the greatest. He held out his hand to Izuku. So close. So close. So close. Katsuki is the greatest. But he isn't the fastest. He isn't the fastest, but Kami. He swears not to try. He slows down as pain ricochets from his limbs. It doesn't matter, he has to try. So he forces himself to try harder. It doesn't matter, his pain doesn't matter compared to a life. The grounds seem to be ever-growing. It's when he realizes once more he isn't the greatest. It's when fear settles in and self-doubt falls into his palms. Because he would let his friend die. Izuku. Kaken. Time just stopped. And they were paused. In mid-air. With Izuku Midoriya holding onto the Katsuki Bakugo. Both alive. One floating. All due to Izuku Midoriya, awakening his first use of One for All. All Might was with Mirai and Mirio. They've been at a training center in All Might Enterprise, his hero agency, for a while now. While Mirio works on increasing his muscle mass while using One for All, Mirai and Yagi discuss about the quirks all together. More importantly, why Mirio seems to be weakening ever so slightly and why One for All doesn't seem to be settling. His body is rejecting it, bones seem to shatter, and the progress of his original quirk seems to be new all over again. It's hell and illogical. Sir was in a deep discussion on possible ways to overcome this, not bothering to check on his pupil or his former partner. He knows they'll both be alright in the future. He didn't need to check with his quirk anyway. Too focused on the future, he doesn't seem to hear his students' gasp of air and screams of plea. All Might, ever so caring, reaches out to his boy and helps him. Before he could ask what happened, he too is being scorched by the pain inside of him. We do not belong to you and we do not live within you. Both blondes can feel a fury so old it's traumatizing. It's as if an ancient power is full of disappointment and anger at them, no just the skeleton man, and this is a mere heads up. All Might feels a new awakening and mistakes it for a calling from All for One. Why would his own power feel so hot? So threatening? So alive? Mirio understands what these voices seem to be telling him. It confirms his suspicion from a day ago, but he's told them this and they won't listen. He felt it in the middle of the day too. There's a pull within him and he just knows that yes, this quirk is alive and it's not his and won't ever be his. And that's okay too. One for All is alive, he whispers out. All for One is alive, Yagi croaks past. No. Izuku fell unconscious afterwards. Still levitating through the air, but it wasn't him who was controlling the quirk anymore. There was a soft glow of a purple light around him. Katsuki's wrists hurt, but he still grabbed onto Izuku, fearing that if he let him go he wouldn't come back. He didn't want that, not then or now, not ever. To even think that he may have suggested that in the first place? Oh Kami, he felt disgusting. When the mysterious quirk pulled them to a safe landing on the ground, the light became brighter and brighter until it engulfed them both. Now they're in an unconscious state of mind, not really knowing what is happening around their world. The two boys who pushed Izuku has well run off when Katsuki jumped after Izuku. There wasn't anyone but them, not even the crappy security system had been able to capture it all. Truly, they were alone. In the presence of One for All. Of 6 past users. But together. To say the least, the world was a strange thing. It was a void if it was anything. Izuku is sure that it has to be something. Slowly he began to regain consciousness and sees the world he's meant to be in. Taking in the galaxy like sky and a rocky surface, he turns to see 5 other people to his right. Taking a look to the left are 2 blurry figures and a Katsuki lulled to a sleep but aware of everything. The 2 blurry figures are yellow and gold. So fitting and so imposter-like was it supposed to be? All the rest had nothing in common, so why did these 2 follow suit of each other? He's getting ahead of himself. Izuku Midoriya? A soft voice met his ears and his attention immediately fell to a white-like figure. He opened his mouth only to find it covered along with the rest of his body, all except for his eyes. Eyes so vivid, filled with a young mischief, eyes in which the color compared to his own, staring straight at him. Even if he could talk, nothing would surely come out. I guess that's my bad. Let me introduce myself to you. I am Yoichi Shigaraki, the first wielder of One for All, and you will be the 9th. The true 9th holder of our quirk. The people on your right will guide you to greatness, as will I. The blonde by your feet will also help. Though he hasn't exactly opened his eyes, he is aware as my friend is telling him the exact thing. Under different circumstances, we wouldn't have met this early on and you would have a different guide, but this is a nice shake of things. As for the 2 on your left, they look quite similar, no? We thought so as well. While I shouldn't be outing others, the yellow one is Yagi Toshinori alias All Might. The golden retriever besides him is Mirio Togata alias Lemillion, the 9th user of One for All. 9th? But didn't you say I was the 9th? And what's this about All Might? He hears the man chuckle, and if his face wasn't covered in a milky black fog, he would turn pink. Don't be ashamed, you are correct, Izuku. You are the true 9th. First let me explain the origin of this world and us as a whole. We are the vestiges of One for All, a quirk made to defeat All for One, also known as my brother. The white-haired man shares the story that has been passed down from the beginning. A story he didn't have to share with the 2nd or 3rd but the rest that came. His eyes sadden at the mention of his lost brother. A power he had been blessed with had been tarnished with selfish desire. He tells him of his own sickness, a reason why he's so frail but healthy in spirit. He explains how powerful this quirk is but to not panic as they will guide him through it all. Tells him it's a great burden but shares advice he's gained over the centuries. Great power is always a burden. Having people you trust and love who will support you in your lowest, making you stronger will ease it. Sharing burdens is hard, but I know you'll have the strongest with you. Izuku doesn't know if he's ready, but that's just last-minute second-guessing. Deep down he knows he can become the greatest. Izuku Midoriya doesn't refuse, instead he listens to the advice Yoichi gives him and memorizes it like he would with any hero knowledge. But what about All Might and this Mirio guy? And Kaken? See, I knew I was forgetting something. Right, well had I been another I wouldn't really share this much with you, but pettiness is just so flavorful. All Might, he was quirkless once too. Now before you get angry, trust me, we raised hell with him, he isn't going to be around very long. His power has been decreasing ever since he gave it to Mirio. But it's been decreasing before that. All Might fought with my brother 5 or 6 years ago and it left him very frail. As for Mirio, he's a nice guy with a great heart, but we just don't. History will only repeat itself. My brother is still alive despite what the donkey says. Mirio would die young too, and we can't have that. Too many had to have such fate because of this. This quirk has been rejecting him and we have too. We are alive, Izuku. Because of that, you all don't want him either. That only raises my question even more. Why am I so special? I'm quirkless and I've only ever gotten in people's way. That's where you are wrong. When you jumped into action to save Kaken over here, you had more heroism than everyone there combined. Saving people is what matters the most, and technically yes, that's what they were doing too, but it wasn't enough. Kaken here would have been gone had you not saved him. You had no plan, sure, but once you sprung your backpack at that liquid fellow, it was clear that you did have one. A little shaken, perhaps, but you are young. We all admire your courage, which is why we want you and chose you to be with us. We will live within you and belong to you so long as you will have us. As conflicting as this all was, there wasn't anything more that Izuku wanted to do than to save people. He accepted it with grace and potential. Welcome, Izuku Midoriya, this is your hero path. Tears sprung into his eyes. He shook with excitement and happiness. His smile might have been wobbly, but Kami, had it been beautiful. Before we leave, you will be training under Nana Shimura's quirk float. Change the name if you want or keep it. To Nana she doesn't mind but would prefer you to keep it. She's very furious with Yagi. One last thing, you are free to tell anyone you trust and love, so don't be scared. Besides, there's this bozo who will know about it too. For now, until we meet again, Izuku Midoriya. The bright light returned. The purple was fierce. But it was the other colors that had left him with hope. White so pure, red so strong, yellow so bright, blue so calming, purple so determined, and green so hopeful. Yes, Izuku Midoriya is true holder of one for all. He is the ninth. They returned in Izuku's room with a small thud. On Izuku's part, he landed on Katsuki. Katsuki had an ungraceful fall and Izuku landed right where it winded him. If the second user chuckled, then that was only for him to know. To him it was a mere coincidence. Of course, the others knew all too well. Izuku scrambled to get off and straighten himself out, wheezing for air. He couldn't get enough of it. What had happened to him in the past day and today had all caught up to it, and he doesn't know how to handle it. It was the worst and best day all combined, but now he might not even get to experience more great days because he's not getting enough oxygen. Hey Izuku, I need you to follow my breaths, okay? Katsuki began to hold his breaths for long periods of time and then releasing it slowly. Repeating it however long it takes to get Izuku to be okay again. It wasn't long, till then. Thanks Kaken. Don't mention it, nerd. The atmosphere turned stale then. Neither not really knowing what to say or even how to say it. Millions of thoughts running through their heads but nothing out through their mouths. Was Izuku supposed to apologize that because of him, they might have died? Been dead? Got pulled into another world? What was he supposed to do? Was Kaken holding back yells? Punches? Explosions? Would he actually die now? What was to happen? Would hate follow them as it had in passing years? Did he blame him? Hey, no, stop it right there. Look, Izuku, slow down your breaths again, okay? There you go. Okay, listen here, nerd, because I'm only going to say it once. It shouldn't be this dim and hard. The ashen blonde shook himself right and prepared to tell his friend words he shouldn't even have to say. Dekano, Izuku, I'm sorry. For everything, all the hell I've put you through since we were 4, from yesterday when I said those Kami awful words to you, or now when those extras had that type of thinking. It's all my fault and you shouldn't have ever go through this bullshit. Throughout his speech of regret, Katsuki hadn't once looked into Izuku's eyes. Too fearful that it would be too late. That Izuku's eyes wouldn't glisten anymore. Too afraid to lose his friend. Are they even friends? For the longest time, Izuku didn't respond. Not because of how angry or annoyed he was at the blonde, but because he was too shocked. Eventually, he knew Katsuki would learn what he did to him was unforgivable. Because truly it is. Izuku just never expected it to be so soon. Look, Katsuki, what you did to me is truly unforgivable. The abuse I've put up all these years? I have scars. Kami, I honestly shouldn't be forgiving you with all that you've done, but I do. Kaken, I've always told you you'll be a great hero and I still believe that. I forgive you, Kaken. But you know all of this yet you choose to forgive me? Even I'm not asking for your forgiveness. Because you regret and you save. Not to mention how others encouraged you and never told you it was wrong. Others I wouldn't forgive because they still don't know or even recognize the harm, but you do. What happened today was not your fault, no matter what our classmates said or do. They chose to push me off the roof, what you choose to save me. For that, I'm thankful to you. I'm not ready to die yet, was painfully left unsaid but not forgotten. Please, as if you have to thank me. After yesterday, I think we're equal. Equal. He had forgotten how nice that word feels. I guess we are. They settled into a deep silence, both looked around the room. Having All Might posters almost everywhere. Kami. What now? Izuku asks. For one, we take down this sheet from your walls. Randy All Might? I still can't believe how much of a sheet person he is. And a hypocrite at that too. You heard? The second user told me about him too. All of them are said, but that's not how I found out. When I left, I didn't get far, so I heard you cry out his name. Couldn't believe it, but heard your conversation. When I saw him not be a skeleton, that's when I knew he's a effing beach. Katsuki growled as he began to tear down the posters carefully though. These were worth a hefty amount of money and they might as well get some bank out of this. Oh yeah. You know, it's not even the first time he said something like that. I was also suffocated by the slime monster not too long after what. Anyways, he saves me and gave me his autograph and everything. I had to ask him if being quirkless I can become a hero, so I latched onto his pants. The slime fell out, sorry by the way, and he said some words. Left me on a roof too, but he didn't know. Izuku was taking down the merch from his side of the room, not paying any attention to Katsuki. He only stopped what he was doing when there was a sizzling sound with tiny pops. K Kaken? He left you where? After he said what? That's it dash. Before he could say any more, two vestiges appeared in front of them, Yoichi and the second. Yoichi had a hair tie in hand, pulling his shoulder-length hair up. That's it. I'm turning to the dark side real quick, hold me back second or the blonde donkey will catch these hands. The second looked slightly amused but more concerned when he saw where they were. Yoichi, now is not the time. Like hell it's not. Oh hey Izu, kaken.of-. Indeed, not. Let's get your unstable but back into the void. Wait no. Izuku and Katsuki turned to each other and for the umpteenth time that day, they stood still, not knowing what the hell they were going to do. What the F-, Deku? I don't know, Kaken. They want me to clean this beach by the time the entrance exam comes? Izuku was out the next day getting ready to train his body for the entrance exam. The Vestiges had a perfect training spot for him to get started, then he could move on to the hard stuff. When Izuku read the note, he thought of simple bodybuilding exercises. Not cleaning Dogba Beach by himself in 10 months or so. He would also have to start running for a mile a week and slowly add another mile on the sand with some weights. Come on hero. You've got this. The voice oddly resembled the first Yoichi Shigaraki. And holy hell does that freak him out. He hears laughter in the inside depths of his mind and rolls his eyes. Not wanting to say more, he does take Yoichi's words of encouragement to heart and gets ready. He stretches first so nothing aches too badly after the workout and slowly begins. Slowly begins. While the work is more than tedious, he bears with it. Anything to get closer to achieve his dream. Anything. Slowly, the week passes by and Izuku finds a routine that works for him. Asking his mother to change up his diet and working out with Kaken every other day. Their relationship mends and before long, Katsuki has also been roped into helping Izuku train. Katsuki also has gotten the two boys expelled from Aldra Junior High, who would say no to their rising star pupil no one. Katsuki is more than aware of the bullshit it brings, but there are benefits. It helps Izuku out greatly. As for the Vestiges and their notes, or in Yoichi's and Nana's case, calling him through the telepathic wavelength via Izuku's mind. Each time they do, it sends a shock through his spine. It's not unpleasant feeling, if anything it's more comforting, affectionate. Today, Katsuki is helping, and the second had informed Yoichi about Katsuki's new routine. Second told Yoichi about an upgraded workout routine for you. He said that you should practice on moving swiftly through the air and have a more lean body than a bulky one. I honestly agree. I mean, think about it, Kaken. You already have a strong quirk, but it would better benefit you if you could move through the air like a missile. It would also help with your wrists, which is the main drawback of overusing your quirk. Second said something about working your wrists out, but I'm still confused about that and how you could exactly do that. Anyway, the workouts we've been doing would better suit me due to the nature of Nana's quirk, float. Having a stronger pack behind the punch would better serve my mission. She also says to work on my thighs, so I guess I'll do that too. So yeah, Nana wrote the list this time, said Yoichi has chicken writing. Katsuki took time to comprehend the benefits, all that would serve him in the upcoming future. All that was left to do is grumble at the drawing second had to have drawn. Fing prick. The days continued, and Katsuki had been doing yoga instead but also running alongside Izuku. He occasionally helped Izuku out with the trash but left him to do the most. Izuku, on the other hand, he had built his stamina, muscle mass, and oddly his height. Still short than Katsuki, but he proudly stood at 5'7". A small improvement. At the moment, the boys were taking a break from cleaning the beach. Izuku had been scribbling in his notebook about the number 3 hero, Hawks. The hero had been in a battle between a notorious villain who had a hot metal quirk. Hawks did win, but the villain had gotten a good hit in and caused enough property damage, civilian destruction too, to cost the red-winged hero a hefty amount. Not that he would notice, but still. Playing back video footage, he noticed how tiresome the hero looked, and after the fight he looked annoyed at himself. The villain, he looked decently pleased despite getting caught. It was beyond disturbing. For the life of Izuku Midoriya, he couldn't figure it out. Why is the villain so pleased? What connection do they both have? What made Hawks, a cool and level-headed hero, so irritated? What is he missing? Hey Kaken. What is it, Deku? You've seen Hawks' latest fight, right? Where are you going with this? Why does the villain seem so proud and Hawks looks annoyed? Hawks does not look annoyed dash. But he does. It's brief, yes, and hard to tell, but the quiver of his lip slightly turns into a scowl before returning to his lazy smile. And the villain, Hot Metal, looks cocky while being detained. The fight itself seemed to be pushing Hawks to some sort of limit, especially with his wings, some burning, which I wonder if they have a certain heat temperature before they burn. Would it burn him too? Could he feel the heat if they aren't attached, and if so, could he train them to withstand such heat blasts dash? You're getting off traffic. Right? So my question, if a level-headed hero showed emotion different from his usual, what makes this D-ranked villain so special? Why not study the villain instead of the hero this time? Why? Oh come on, you stupid Deku. Hawks is closed off to the public even with a flirty personality. It means he's untouchable. But the villain, not only could you find the answer, but also learn how to counterattack villains like him. Even if you don't find what you've been looking for, you still gain hero analysis for the future and all. IIT does make sense. It actually makes a lot of sense. Hawks is untouchable. He's aloof, even with his embarrassing attitude, but untouchable nonetheless. On the other hand, this villain with a bravo personality wouldn't be clever enough to hide everything. It still seemed wrong. It isn't his issues and he shouldn't put his nose where it doesn't belong. But the idea is just so intriguing. Finding more about Hawks, writing about villains and their quirks is fine by him. That I'll just write about the villain. Hawks has his own issues and putting my nose in his business is rude. All right. The two continued to train while in a close area. 2 pros and a student watched over them. All knew about the green-haired boy. One couldn't exactly forget the child who rushed in to save his friend. As the 3 continued to walk closer to the beach, they overheard the conversation between the boys. Hey Deku. Waya Kaken? How long have we been doing this for? The green-haired boy stopped as he gentle out down the microwave. Well, the sludge incident happened a month and a half ago. So about that much. DMN. How much of the beach would you say is clean? Out of percentages, maybe less than 5? Now stop sitting around, we've got work to do before the entrance exams. Don't tell me what to do. I'll kill you. Yeah, kill me later, help me now. Katsuki grumbled but helped his friend out, occasionally laughing when Izuku would slip on the sand. While working around each other, the other 3 got close enough to see the difference of 100% and 95%. They decided to watch them a bit. All Might just waiting to see the boy trip up so he could swoop in and save him, yet again proving his point once and for all. So wasn't too sure about how to feel about the green-haired boy altogether. He's heard about the incident from All Might. Thought the brash blonde was too pessimistic and rude, but correct. As for the ashen blonde, he saw a spiteful and unmanageable kid. Didn't like him on the spot. Yet here they are working together to clean the filthiest beach of all of Japan. Probably community service and fame. Mirio? Well, he thought they were impeccable. He saw 2 young boys training to be heroes, and instead of doing regular weightlifting, they decided to help out the community. When they got into UA or any hero school for that matter, he would be a proud senpai. His eyes lingered on Izuku for a little bit and faintly noticing a soft purple glow. He couldn't be. It doesn't matter. Sure, he would feel disappointed and futile to Sir and All Might for not having OFA, but if it truly belongs to someone else, maybe even the boy, then he would be okay. But the boy couldn't possibly have it. How would it even have transferred? The sun had slowly started to set into the ocean. Izuku slipped once more. All Might would have his wish. He watched the boy like a hawk. Saw that he was trembling from carrying a small fridge. Saw his foot slip and his friend look away for a split second. Doing what he does best, he swooped into action and saved the boy once again, saving the boy from being suffocated. Ha! Never fret, for I am here. Saving you. He was met with a wave of off silence. Does he not know how to speak in full sentence? Said man coughed blood. Kaken. It's true dash. Izuku decided to ignore Katsuki before he laughed. Thank you for that. It was clear that the both of them were waiting for the man to leave. With his inflated ego, All Might clearly didn't understand and went to lecture the poor boy. You have to be careful now, young man. Sure. With your status, we wouldn't want others to worry now. Had All Might not perfected his smile and trademarked it, he surely would have let his emotions get the best of him. Thankfully, to his aid, came Sir Night Eye and Mirio. It led a full fanboy breakout on Izuku's part. Oh my Kami! You're Sir Night Eye and you're the boy from the UA festival with you H.No pants? Well, now with pants and all that, which unspeaking of which, is that part of your quirk? I know they mentioned it being permeation, but why would your clothes be like that unless you slip out of matter, which does explain a lot of things. Oh, and you Sir Night Eye, your work in stopping the latest drag trafficking order with Sidekick Burnin was so cool. Everyone except Bakugo had looked shocked. All for different reasons, but shocked nonetheless. It was only until the gremlin laughed and Izuku turned bright pink that Mirio decided to break the ice. Yeah, that's me. To answer some of your questions, my quirk does cause wardrobe malfunctions because I phase trough matter. My hero costume is getting a new upgrade though. They got a piece of my DNA to make it possible. Smiling, Izuku asked again for a signature. In return, Mirio turned a warmer shade of rose but gave it to him. I never had someone ask it from me. Well, then I guess I'm the first. Katsuki was off to the side wondering how Izuku isn't intimidated by the person who wields the DMN quirk. He knows it's him, but why isn't he acting closed off? Whatever, he could deal with the other one for all user. He had bigger fish to fry, and if the donkey opens up his mouth one more DMN time. How about you, young man? How are you doing after the incident a month ago? All Might tried again. He knew it could be a mistake, but maybe the explosive boy was extra explosive today. Effing fine. All Might quickly realized that it wasn't. Kaken, don't be mean. He was checking up on someone who he deemed worthy. The concern laced within the freckled boy was so real that they may have not realized the meaning of his words. He's a hero, Kaken. Like any other hero, they check up on those with strong quirks. So don't be so bravo. Izuku ended up scoring his friend with a phony frown. Katsuki couldn't hold back his laugh and he doubled over with it. Mirio didn't exactly know what to do. He thought the boy was kind with rainbow smiles, a son in Tamaki's words. He is, but who doesn't enjoy a good petty moment? As Yoichi would say, pettiness is just so favorable. So if he, Mirio Togata, quickly shut his open-gapped mouth to hide a small snicker. Well, who is to blame? Sir Night Eye and All Might didn't think the situation was funny. Not by a long run. How dare you speak to a hero in such manner? How dare you speak such lowly of heroes for that matter? Katsuki couldn't have Izuku be singled out. He couldn't let them disrespect him the way he did not so long ago. For that, he had to sober up his laughter. Was that not what had happened? Isn't that the reason you three came here? Don't think we didn't see you sitting on top of that hill. All Might here came right as the demon nerd slipped and proceeded to scold him as if what he had done was wrong. Shouldn't he had asked if Izuku, a civilian, was okay? The man in the gray suit looked furious. His yellow streaks could turn white, but it wasn't him who lost his temper quickly. I have done no such thing. Quickly to try and defend his honor too. So you didn't leave me up on roof after you crushed my dreams and being a complete hypocrite. All Might, what does he mean by that? Sir had a steel look in his eyes as he glared at the two teens. Kami, This only complicates things even more. What if there were to be press around? It would ruin his symbol of peace image. The first part, or him being a hypocrite? Katsuki snorted. It was anything but amused, and as he watched Sir Night-Eye lose color at his latter words, well, he knew the answer. Seeing as you got stiff at the latter, that is what you care most about. All Might sputtered in defeat until he realized do you know as well? Who else did you spill this to? Are the reporter here waiting to get a good shot of this? Are you that insecure and hurt about the truth that you've decided to ruin a whole image, one that everyone can respect and trust? Izuku had never felt so angry before in his life, and neither have the Vestiges, but they knew they couldn't come out to play yet, so they let their ninth win his first battle. How dare I? How dare I? I haven't told shit to anybody, and if your FING secret gets out it's because you came running after the incident, yelling like a madman. Do you want to trademark that too? Not even a minute before Kaken had turned the corner. So try and spin your effing lies. Try and say that you do care about the quirkless when I have a witness. Witnesses at that, but I'm sure they won't say anything. You have an image to obtain, don't you? Now if you would leave us alone, that would be much appreciated. I don't know if you've noticed, but we've been cleaning out the beach for more than a month, and we would love to remain secret because, unlike you, we have no interest in the media. Besides, I'm sure your successor has many questions for the two of you. Who do they think they are? Heroes? Heroes aren't supposed to act like pricks. They aren't supposed to pick and choose on who they want to save and who to leave in the DMN dirt. Both held respectable positions in the heart of Izuku and Katsuki, but after today? After they truly shows who they are? If anything, Mirio only seems worthy of being a hero. He looked disgusted, but not at them, but at his mentors. Izuku pities him, truly he does. He looked ashamed at himself for ever coming close to both men, but what could he do? He's a child, and as a child like him, who would believe him? Who would believe any of them over their precious symbol of peace and his former sidekick? He's trapped. That only makes him angrier. How long have they been fooling people? How long have they fed them their lies for a fake promise? To look down on people? If that's the reason in which villains become villains, then he wouldn't be surprised. He knew this world was not equal. That no man was created equal, and none of them will ever be equal to another because that's just the way his world is. But he promises to change it. To change it so that it is equal. He knows it'll be hard. Impossible even, but it isn't. In this society, quirks determine people's status. The better the quirk for hero work, the more love one receives. The stronger the quirk is for villainy, the more feared and abandoned they are. It's a complicated hierarchy that shouldn't have even been implanted. Izuku promises to make a world where everyone is equal. He promises to save everyone. Not pick and choose. He'll have to start with himself. It may take some time, but when he reaches it, he'll push farther. He's a hero, and heroes save people. He'll save civilians, heroes, villains. Kaken. Izuku. I want to save people. I do too. I want to save everyone. 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 TCH, well then you'll need help with people who share your goal. Thank you, they're a bunch of DS. You can say that again. On that beach, on that day, at that very moment, the two promised a world of new. And it's a FENG promise that they'll keep. Yoichi and Nana watched over their two boys. The second not far behind, keeping tabs on the explosion boy. Not all with fond smiles, but the sentiment is there. They've both grown so much over these past 10 months. Nana warmly stated. Their friendship for one, but also their thinking and views on the world around them. So attentive and keen for young boys. A lot has happened to them. Both being throttled, attempted murder on one, then being in the presence of not one but two idiots. It's a lot, sure, but in a way it's better for them. They'll know what to expect when certain times come. It'll help them to react better in situations when they're pros. Help them to not hesitate. Second grumbled out. Chin jutted forward with a small faux scowl. Clearly he's still sad about the incident 9 months ago. Rightfully so, the two had nothing to say to them and left them to be after harassing them. It didn't settle nicely among the 7 other holder, and every once in a while, Yagi could feel the heated gaze of them but never pinpointing who it was. Yoichi chuckled out, You're right, but they're still kids. Kids shouldn't have to grow up so quickly. Cammy knows the emotions laying deep within those words. Though we can't change that now, I suppose. All we can do now is lead them towards a path of true heroism. By doing so, Nana, if you will. A sly smirk played Yoichi's lips, very mischievous. Whenever Izuku has accessed float, for training purposes, Nana has allowed him to. Izuku hasn't fully accessed one for all, not the whole power and strength of it. Instead of green, he glows purple, indicating that no, it's not his, yet. Today and forevermore, Nana will be giving her strength, her power, herself, to Izuku. Due to the transferable aspect of one for all, the vestiges can do this at will. No one can force them. What Yoichi is asking of Nana is just that. The transfer of her float to him, the new owner. Float is still in Nana and always will be, it's hers. But now, it's also Izuku's. Do your best, hero. Don't effing kill anyone. Smile brightly. Smile brightly. A new warmth spreads through Izuku. It wasn't same as the one before when the vestiges would communicate briefly with him. That one was warm and caring, but it wasn't this. No, this was love, comfort, support, zest, trust, and pride. All of these views of sentiment were overwhelming but welcomed. It was more than welcomed. Izuku doesn't remember a time when everything just hit. Cammy, he really is lucky, isn't he? In true Midoriya fashion, tears sprang from his eyes like rivers flowing freely from dam. His body tingled like people were wrapping their arms around him. And the empty feeling in his body just flushed right out of him. Is this what he was missing? Was he truly meant to have this quirk? Was he something people were searching for? Is he this loved? Yes. Kaken? Izuku felt strange. His face felt tight but radiant. He knows this feelings. Ya nerd. I'm happy. While Izuku sat back and watched the sun rise, Katsuki turned to his best friend and almost screamed in the outermost joy. How he longed to see his friend smile so freely and with a purpose again. Me fucking too. I'm not defenseless anymore, yeah. I've got to remember all the work I've put in. Thanks to Nana and the others, I'm actually gonna be a hero. Izuku was muttering quietly alongside Katsuki. Together, they were walking the path towards Yue. Almost there. Katsuki was a bit ahead of Izuku, whether it be anxiousness or excitement, he was walking faster than the smaller one. When Izuku was ready to catch up, it was no surprise that he would end up tripping over his feet. Or I'll just die. Before he could hit the ground and embarrass himself even more, something touched his bag and his gravity lifted. Incoherent words scrambled out of his mouth. Course they weren't understandable, so they didn't matter much. Off to the side, Katsuki finally realized that his friend wasn't near, so in search for him, he saw what could have been and couldn't hold back his snorts. Stupid Deku. Hey, are you okay? More incoherent rambles courtesy of our dear Z. The person laughed a bit before continuing. I stopped you with my quirk, I'm sorry I didn't ask first. But I figured you didn't mind me catching you. This is all super nerve-wracking. Good job, Izuku. Not only have you managed to fall, but you can't even talk to a girl. Come on, shoot your shot if you're nervous. The girl said her goodbyes and went inside. Izuku stayed out until arms grabbed his shoulders and steered them in the same direction. Come on, Deku. We're gonna be late and I'm sure Yoichi would trade you more if we did. Why yeah, you're probably right. No Deku, I swear to Cammy, if you even mumble and fanboy over present Mike I will kill you. But it's present Mike. I listen to his show every day and it's so cool dash. Did you not just hear me? No I did. I just thought that I would still fanboy over him even if your threats weren't fake. What did you say? Izuku was panicking. No, he was beyond panicking, he was on the verge of hyperventilating. And possibly whatever comes next after that. It didn't help that everyone practically wrote him off. Sure, he's gotten close to taking down some robots, but most times he's just been helping those who've gotten hurt. He was positive that Yue wasn't counting rescue points. Rescuing is a form of heroics, Izuku. Yeah. I think it's the most important one out there, squirt. Well yeah, but if the test is made for flashy quirks, then where does he fit in it? He wants to save people, and to actually do that, he has to get into UA first. Patience, Izuku. Besides, there are other hero schools like the one in the West. Right. This isn't his only chance, but he'll be dead if he doesn't make it the best one. Izuku continued to help those around him, getting them back to their feet or out of harm's way. He helped a purple-haired boy with eye bags and gave him some ideas on how to better his chances. He'd occasionally run into great opportunities to get points, but people always seemed to be quicker than him and really wowed the crowd. It's fine though, if helping people is all that he can do for now, then so be it. Out of nowhere he felt vibrations from the ground. At first they were small. He didn't think it was a kid's quirk, they'd already have used it. When people started running away from the problem, he was quick to follow suit. But that was before he heard the cry of a girl. His feet moved before his mind did, before his heart did. Thanks to the training on the beach, he got there in no time. Can you get up? No, I'm stuck, the girl whimpered in pain. He watched as the robot, the zero-pointer, came closer. A simple and possibly awful plan formed in his head, and he quickly acted on it. Removing the boulder from the girl first, he then lifted into the air and readily kicked joints of the robot, all random to the eye, but planned out to those who knew what to look for. All that was left to do was to knock over the giant bully. Taking a bit of a head start, he floated to the head and smashed it to pieces. And down it went. To Izuku, he saw flashes of purple to aid him, and he smiled a real Izuku Midoriya smile. He smiled to the girl and reassured her, "It's all right now, let's get you some medical help though." But that was just to Izuku. Everyone else saw bright lights of green and a dazzling smile that followed suit. They weren't in any type of danger, but the split-second fear that they felt? The smile put them to ease. To the teachers who were grading the performance, they saw a boy full of potential with more points than another boy in a different testing unit. Said other boy had gathered enough villain points and a small amount of rescue points. While they were amazed, Izuku was the first to enter UA in just rescue points alone. He would be the first in many, and while they didn't know it yet, they had just seen the start of a new era. It was certainly unbelievable. If All Might had anything to say about it. Such a shame that he couldn't. Whether it be of shock, he just seen the boy who he left of a roof and told him he couldn't be a hero because he's quirkless, use his mentor's quirk, or whether it be because the Vestiges all held him back from doing so, but how would he even know? Then something ugly settled within him. Even uglier than his already stained thoughts, because he felt all for one rumble underground again. This boy uses a quirk when he was quirkless? Of course the boy went to seek out his enemy and bring shame to his mentor and himself. He didn't even know All for One's name, you stupid effing donkey. How self-centered could you be? Great. And now he's hearing voices in his head. Doesn't matter. No. Because All Might is here and he will uncover the truth about Izuku Midoriya and prove that he is nothing but a villain. I swear to God, I will castrate him and then run him over with a bus. Yoichi no. Yoichi yes. Katsuki waited by the gates to walk back home with Izuku. He was in a great mood and honestly, nothing could bring him down. He knows he's gotten enough points to get in just villains and possible rescue points. Right as Izuku rounded the corner, there was a girl walking with him. As they grew closer, he heard her thank him before she left by speeding up. Hey Deku. Who was that? Oh, do you remember the girl who slapped my shoulder right before I fell? Yeah, well, her name is Ochako Uraraka, and I might have saved her from her potential death. Katsuki blinked in mild surprise. Did he expect the nerd to actually find trouble during the entrance exams? Molly. Did he expect the nerd to get hurt? Did he expect the nerd to actually save someone? Not exactly. So how did you do on the practical exam portion? Instantly, he sees Izuku's mood dampen with tears threatening to slip out. Look, I didn't get any villain points, which basically confirms my failing trying to get into UA's hero course. I spent the entirety of my exam helping others out, which actually I met this really cool purple dude, not the point Izuku. And so then the zero-pointer comes out, right? And Uraraka got stuck under some rubble. No else was moving to save her and my feet just kinda moved on their own, so I ended up saving her, defeated the zero-pointer, but probably failed. When Katsuki didn't say anything, not even an insult, Izuku looked from his unshed tears and saw Katsuki look at him like he's the dumbest person on the planet. You dumb fuck. I know. Is Hoopf gotten more villain points dash? No. I'm saying that you probably did better than the rest of these fuckers. Heroics isn't just about defeating bad guys, it's about saving people, Deku. And that's what you do best. I'm not saying you got in because of those rescue points because maybe you haven't, and this school is just as biased as every other one out there, but it's also UA, they have a FING chimera rat thing as a principal. Discrimination doesn't really seem to be effective here. Why yeah, you have a point. Course I FING do. Besides, didn't you save round cheeks over there? If they don't give you some shitty points because of that, then I have no idea what's in store for us. Hell maybe. That's the spirit. Now let's go home, Auntie and the old hag should be making something for us. Better to not keep the waiting then. It wasn't until a week or two that the boys gotten their letter from UA. The two of them decided it would be better to open them in their own home and then later meet up at the beach to tell each other the news. Izuku Midoriya came rushing into Izuku's room. The boy was taking a nap after the day of training he had with Float. Nana is a harsh instructor, but he loves her either way. It took a while for Izuku to get Izuku to wake up, but when he did, he opened the letter groggily. Do you want me to leave? And no, it's fine, Mom. The nerves were strong enough to wreck him, but he had to do this. It would decided the line of his fate, not set in stone, but the beginning of a great story. Congratulations, Izuku Midoriya, for passing the written exam with one of the highest scores. However, in the mock exam you did not acquire a single villain point to get in the hero course. Good thing we don't just look for villain points. You, young Midoriya, are the first person to get into the UA course with the most rescue points and get first place altogether. Welcome, Izuku Midoriya, this is your hero academia. He could feel the warm embrace of his mother a touch. It comforted him in so many ways, and he couldn't help but cry at all of his accomplishments from the past 10 months, till now. He couldn't wait to see his lucky stars and OFA family help guide him to greatness. He couldn't wait to see all of his blessings. So he cried, and his mother cried along with him. In her heart she felt great guilt, and though she doesn't want to ruin this moment, she just has to get these words out. It's been eating her away for the past 10 years of her life. No doubt eating him away too. Izuku. The boy sniffled out a yeah. I know those words I told you when you were for hurt you. Those words I cried to you after you asked me if you could be a hero. I know those words hurt you because they hurt me more, knowing that you took them as me thinking you couldn't be a quirkless hero. But that's not why I cried out useless sorries. It's because I'm sorry that I failed you as a mother. Your dream is to become a hero, and I felt by not giving you a quirk just tore it apart. I know more than anyone else that you can become a quirkless hero, you'd make your mark on this world, and I would be the proudest mother out there. But there was guilt, and I knew nothing else than sorry. Izuku, baby, that was then, and if you'll allow me to right those wrongs in the past, I promise I'll be supportive of you in any way that I can. You're going to be a fine hero and an even greater young man. The green-haired boy sat with happiness and relief as his mother finally told him what she really meant. All these years thinking she couldn't believe in him when it was all of the opposite? It was so freeing. To have her support and love. To hear her say the words he always dreamt of? I can. You're starting your path now, aren't you? Large masses of tears ran down Izuku's face as he pulled his mother into a bone-crushing hug. Thank you. Izuku? You should probably tell her. Yeah, he probably should. Mom. Yes, Izuku? I'm not quirkless anymore. WLUC. It started at school when a Kaken told me to take a swan dive off the roof and pray that I'd get a quirk in the next life. I swear, Mom, we are okay. Now, and he didn't even mean it. It's a long story. Do you have time? Mother and son were together in a room with new heroes surrounding the walls. Some walls were covered in paintings done from the Vestiges. Some were works of art, and the others yoichi, looked like they were drawn by a 5-year-old. Inko laughed and cried and felt guilt and pride, but she was there for son as she would continue to be. So, are you really okay with Katsuki? I'm positive, Mom. Okay, but I still want to have talk with the boy, so you tell him that. Now go meet up with him, I think you've kept him waiting enough. Flashing her a smile in which she easily returned, he ran out in his favorite red shoes and towards the beach. The sun was setting and the ocean glistened. He could see the faint outline of the explosion boy and he ran faster with more pride in his step. Izuku was beaming with joy and nothing could tear that apart. Kaken. I got in Kaken. I did it. Well, no sheet death. I told you, it could have also based on rescue points. Very wise, Kaken. Oh, shut it, you nerd. Anyways, I also passed but got second best score. Wonder who the best who topped me is. Your wonderful best friend, that's who. Red eyes set on green ones, giving him a minor warning before they chased around like cat and mouse. The beach was near empty, saved for 6 vestiges and 2 boys having the time of their lives. Wow, he has such a stunning smile. Nana pulled out one of her own striking smiles. Her eyes fond with love and happiness. True to Second's behavior, he grumbled out, "It's too FNG bright." But nonetheless was he proud of the two. I'm so proud of him. He's gone from barely ever smiling to beaming constantly, and it's an improvement that I want to continue to see. Yoichi was grinning. Hey kid. Yeah. Izuku responded, halting in his actions before tumbling down as Katsuki tackled him. I get off Kaken. Smile brightly. The freckled boy simply followed directions before adding, and what if I lose it? Will you help me find it? Every step of the way. The small family gathered around last time before they vanished. Not forever, never forever. They belonged to Izuku and they lived within Izuku just as Izuku belonged to them and lived for them. As the sun finally set, those left with a hurrah and encouraging words. Has one for all truly settled within you? Not fully, no. But it's much stronger than before and more of my own than Nana's. How long do you think it might take? I'm not sure, but I'm not too worried over it. We have time and this just means I have more time to make it my own. An F with all sheet. That's a crappy insult. Oh, you try and come up with one. Bet. No. Yes. Why did you teach Kaken your slang? 3 men were talking amongst themselves, getting ready for a new awakening in the hero society. All in good spirits, awaiting for the day they would take back what was rightfully bestowed upon them. Though they weren't sure of what they were going to do, they just knew how they were going to execute it. Prideful and thunderous. 2 men as old as time could tell and a younger one. So young. Course, that's another story for a more probable time. This story, however, involves 3 men. Doctor, how long until I can see again? One of the ancient ones spoke, voice deep and full of boredom. Fingers tapping a second apart, legs crossed dainty, and smile so polite. If we get him at last, then I'd say very, very soon, Your Highness. The other one of the 2 chuckled madly. Plump figure shaking with glee as he thought of all the ways he could rob the hero of his eyes. The school year is starting soon. The youngest of the 3 spoke quietly, and All Might is a teacher this year, if our informant intel is correct. The media will surely hear soon and we could plan a distraction. Hands surround his neck and charred skin breaks off. If you wish to speak, speak up loudly. Yes, sir. Good. Now, what was this about All Might being a teacher now? Our informant got word of his teaching position at the school. When the media gets ear of this, the gates will be flooded with those pests. What better way to get in while others are too? Blind man says, only fools rush in. Izuku, are you all right? Masaru Bakugo gently pulled from the rather confining room. The boy looked surprised but gave a dopey smile. Oh yeah, I'm doing pretty great. Good going, kid. You've traumatized the nice man. The man who drinks his respect women juice every gosh darn morning. Oh, shut it, yoy. The man looked uncertain and tried to look for any misleading signs, but when he didn't find any, he let himself breathe. Katsuki. Both boys looked at the silent Bakugo. The Bakugo who shouts more than her son. She's quiet. Katsuki doesn't answer her but doesn't look away. He knows. It's rooting from his actions and his words. He knows because it's the one of the few things he could take back he can't. Kemi, does he know? Why? Was he to answer? It's not only to Mitsuki but to Masaru and Inko. Well, they don't matter. Because as long as Izuku forgives him, then he'll be okay. And Izuku does forgive him. He knows why Katsuki was the way he was taught to be. He knows why Katsuki even thought to start it all. He doesn't understand how it correlated but understand enough to not be lost. Because this society wasn't made to be equal and Kami effing hell was I taught that early. It doesn't excuse what I've done. I know it doesn't and I'm not and won't try to ever deny my actions or words. I'm just sorry. 3 adults stood still. It wasn't because of his apology. It wasn't even because of the victim's warm heart in comforting his ex-tormentor. It was simply because they hadn't realized. The adults didn't realize. Inko sat shocked. A woman who wore her heart on her sleeve, protective and kind, who wasn't afraid to cry at any given moment didn't show an ounce of anything. In her mind, it was a whirl of everything she could announce. She was furious at Katsuki for hurting her baby. She was furious at herself for not showing her support in Izuku's dream earlier. She furious at the way Katsuki treated Izuku for years, a whole decade before she actually knew who it was. She was furious at herself for not knowing quicker. She was furious at Katsuki because of society. He almost ended up like a FING prick. She was furious at herself for letting society control her like this too. She's absolutely incandescent with society. Mitsuki wasn't much better. Inko, she too was calm on the exterior but even more tearful on the inside. She let her son down, her best friend down, her husband, and especially the little boy who was looking at her with concern. How could she let it get this far? How could she have even let it start? What type of mother is she? To have her son be so cruel and sometimes encourage him? Not to hurt others, Kami, no. But to know his strength and to be better to a point where it's just inflating his ego? He must have copied her harsh ways too. A child learns through their eyes. She couldn't just blame herself. A child learns through their eyes. A community is full of learning opportunities. Society taught them wrong. Masaru was quite different. He had tears streaming down his eyes and words of hatred to yell and shout at the worlds. To make it pay for hurting 2 little boys who shouldn't have to learn how cruel life can be. He's disgusted with himself for not being strong enough to tell Katsuki better. That's on him and he knows it. But he knows that it's not just his fault. A good majority is he's his parents. But it's not entirely his. He can do better and he will do better. So it's not surprising when Masaru is the first to break the silence. Katsuki, you will be put into anger management therapy and your phone privileges will be revoked until school starts. That's not enough. Nothing will ever be enough to repay and take away Izuku's scars, and oh how he knows it. Okay. Izuku throughout this all was still stricken. Was this truly happening? After years of bullying and harassment, would it truly be over? What if at UA people see him as the same? Whatcha thinking about, nerd? Izuku sat blankly, staring at Katsuki with a small huff of annoyance in his round cheeks. Will it finally be over? The bullying, I mean. Sure, you may have gotten rid of the guys who tried to push me off a roof, which thanks by the way, I don't think I said that yet, but what if at UA, what if it's still the same? What if you go back to hating me was left unsaid, but by the way Katsuki's face morphed into a guilt and sadness told him that he understood. Wait, tried to kill you? Katsuki did what? Wait, did you kill them instead? UA will be different. For starters, we're going in as friends. And if shitty extras decided to bring that sheet with them to a hero school, then I won't have to use my privileges to just protect you. And if that doesn't work, then I'll just have to protect you all on my own, twice as much work, but you've always been a handful, so. Katsuki held Izuku's eyes, trying to get him to understand all that there is. Izuku isn't alone anymore. He isn't a weakling, though he never was one. People can't be bullies at UA without thinking they won't get caught. And if UA turns out to be shitty? Well, f them in the butt, because Katsuki will have to take things into his own hands. Why, you're right. Sunshine smiles were beginning to be a constant again. It was enough to melt whatever tension there was at the moment. Of course, it wasn't enough to get rid of a small detail they almost forgot to say. Are we not going to FING talk about Katsuki potentially killing 2 classmates for almost killing Izuku? And how the F did no one die? Mitsuki was furious at that point. She had just made aware that her child is a bully and now friends again with the victim, and she had to learn that the victim was almost killed but her child killed the others probably. Even her words don't make sense anymore. Oh, did we forget to tell you Dash? Wait, have you told Auntie about you know what? Oh yeah, I did. The others kinda urged me to too. How are we gonna explain this to my old hag and old man without it then? Well, they could always just know. Are the others okay with that? Yeah, honestly right now Yoichi Dash is wanting chaos. Yeah, exactly. Okay, story time. It all started when Katsuki said Dash. The rest blurred from there. There were multiple pauses within the storytelling, but once everything was layer out bare, that's when they will start to heal and become better. However, Mitsuki didn't think that what her husband was enough punishment, so ultimately decided, what? No. And no, I think this is a wonderful idea, Kaken. Izuku sat smugly with glee written in his clover eyes. You, continuing to model for auntie and uncle? Something you absolutely hate as punishment? This feels like Christmas for me. I will end you. Try again. You little sheet Dash. Sure, but now you're a little model again. The two stared at each other before Izuku sprung up and darted around the room, laughs following him whenever. You know, Mitsuki, I have been reading stuff on your blog. You know comments, and if my memory serves me correctly, then people have been wanting the duo to return. Mom. I'll see after Bakugo serves his punishment. Kaken, I swear to Kami, if you say a single bit of this Dash. Who knew you were cut out for modeling? This time round, it was Katsuki who was running for his life, weaving through anywhere to get away from the floating bunny. When Izuku almost caught up to him, Katsuki let out a small explosion and Masaru had a bit enough for the day. No quirks allowed in the house, boys. Sorry. The two boys were quieted immediately. Flushed faces from not only getting scolded by the nice man, but also from the laughter waiting to be spilled. It's not exactly something any one of them would have ever thought would be said. Yoichi, I don't like what I'm feeling. He's moving too quickly after all the years. He's just a kid and the way that he's moving? Do we have enough time? Shouldn't we think of protecting the kid first? I think we should tell him. It's too late now to do anything brash. Though, I do agree we should tell him. You're right, second and third. Nana, I agree with you, whatever this feeling is, it's not good and I don't want Izuku to face anything like it. Now it seems like he'll have to. Look, this is what we'll do, we tell him and Katsuki, they can warn their parents, it's only right. We don't take away one for all, but we train him even more without exhausting Izuku. We plan on what do when they finally strike and continue from there. It's bound to be a warning first. My brother just loves his games. Though, I don't know what my brother is planning this time. Well, world domination for one, but this is new. What I do know is that we will do everything we can to protect Izuku from all types of harm that we can. Agreed. Yoichi sat back while half of the past holders of One for All start planning on how to attack All for One. The other half are working on how to better protect Izuku. Damn it. Yoichi has a awful gut feeling for this school year. His brother is stirring something worse than evil. He just knows it. Looking past his friends, he watches over Izuku. He sees that he's walking with Katsuki in their brand new school uniforms. He sees Izuku poke Katsuki until he blows up and laughs some more. When they stand in front of the tall building, he reaches out. Be careful, Izuku. This year has a lot in store. Be careful, Izuku. This year has a lot in store. Whatever playfulness Izuku had was jutted out and replaced with anxiety he's had all morning. You felt that too, Yoichi? All of us did. Tell Second to inform Katsuki. I don't think I can. Sure thing. Izuku stood paralyzed in front of UA with a mix of emotions. Fear, anxiety, sadness, reason unknown, but also bravery and courage, determination and happiness. This school year may not have started yet, but that doesn't mean others haven't started their year. A dark future looms by up ahead in the future. Trials and tribulations will occur and Izuku will have no choice but to face them. It will be exhausting and tragic, heart-wrenching. It's something all heroes will have to do, it's a given, but for now, Izuku just needs to focus on what's ahead of him and get stronger. He won't wait forever. Miles away from him, an old ancient evil smiles ever so brightly. My. Isn't this news to me? Aizawa is a simple man with simple needs. Except he isn't a simple man, he does have simple needs, but he is far from a simple man. Aizawa is a man who grieves from a loss from when he was a teen. He is a man who watches everything that passes by on the 5 p.m. news. He is a man who knows what it is to lose. Some say he's harsh and downright mean. The strictest teacher among the others, here at UA. Maybe it's because they've never seen a genuine smile. They're terrified of those logical ruse grins. Though, what did they expect? He's an underground hero who knows the way that the world runs and how discriminatory it is to those who are different. He's different. It wasn't a shocker when he expelled a whole class. It was less of a shocker when he took all that free time to hurry himself in work. He's been helping Tsukachi with figuring out if the underground boogeyman was still alive. Being an underground hero gives you information beyond that of what the spotlight heroes can acquire in their own. He's heard rumors about this vulture. He's heard him steal quirks and kill them ruthlessly. He's seen the effects of losing a quirk. He's seen how fragile they're treated, how they treat themselves. All because of a man who took your worth away. Of FNG course he's grim. He's got even more so after learning that the boogeyman is no rumor, is no folktale, is no myth. He is a man with a legend, a tale that has no end, a man who lost his path. He's no villain in some comic book, he is a monster from deep in the underground. Aizawa has grown more dark circles and more stubble hairs. It doesn't matter, they've gotten closer to finding more about the boogeyman on Elmer Street. It was 10 months before the entrance exam when he got a call from the good detective. It's where he learned there is no rumor but a fact of the monster. It's where he learned the truth about All Might and his concern with his possibly failed assassination. From then it was only a matter of time where he started collecting evidence and stories from co-workers and villains in the dark. Those who've been able to tell him more than just whispers of words they hear can never finish the story. All had stopped at a point and their minds turned blank and they've grown pale and 2 died. The others in grave danger. They had perfect health conditions. He shouldn't be digging this deep. He should have been dead or his already. But why end a game so short? Aizawa shivered. 10 months passed and he sat in the dark room with the other teachers who are grading the entrance exam. He stands next to Yagi Toshinori. Now he isn't fan of the skeletal man, far from it. But he holds respect for the symbol of peace, a man who has single-handed kept the peace of Japan for more years than he's been alive to tell. When he senses the man stiffen, he looks over to the screen where a green boy helped a purple-haired boy and carried on after checking to see if the other was doing okay. It got worse when they saw an ashen blonde explode another robot with a wicked grin styling his youthful face. What could these two have done? Nisa then decided it was a good time to press the zero-pointer button. As expected, everyone ran. There was a commotion at the site where the green-haired boy saved. There was a cry from a girl, and before he knew it, the robot was struck down by the same boy with freckles and a cheery smile. But that wasn't what caught his attention. He saw an illicit glow of green but lightning illuminating purple. He also saw All Might grow furious. He's quirkless. All for one. The small mutters were never intended for the shaggy hero to hear, but he did and couldn't help but tense under such speculation as this. Quirkless? Where are those? Izuku Midoriya. Date of quirk registration. 10 months ago. Aichi closed the booklet and stormed out of the room. He's never been happier than a kid getting into the hero course. Something is wrong here and Aizawa will be demed if he doesn't figure it out. If what All Might was saying back there is true, then all the better. A monster of 2 centuries will finally be taken down once and for all. All he has to do is wait and see if he is in his homeroom. Then all that was left to do is wait. The kid would surely mess up and everything will fall with him. But what if he's wrong? No matter, he doesn't let biases sway his mind. Not like the kid would know even if he does mess up. Midoriya is a child and Aizawa is an adult with years of practice of stealth, poker faces, and everything else. Midoriya wouldn't compare to him. But what if he's wrong? No. Take your feet off of that desk now. Ha! It's the first day and you're already disrespecting this academy by scuffing school property, you hooligan. As it turns out, the blue-haired dude was in both Katsuki's and Izuku's class. He stood over Katsuki's desk with hand motions pointing at the disrespect Katsuki is causing. He's as stuck up as ever, but it seems like Katsuki hasn't gotten rid of his foul words. Kidding me, right? Your old school put a stick up your butt? Or were you born with it? Kaken, stop antagonizing our classmates dash. Can it Deku? Isn't he the dude you were telling me about? Izuku blushed a furious red before shakily replying, not now. The blue-haired boy simply didn't know what to do, but as he turned to look at the new incomer he realized who exactly he was looking at. You. Bitch me. Yes you. I would like to deeply apologize for chastating you at the exam. You also realized there was more to the practical exam, didn't you? By saving that girl and all those other people. How heroic of you. As for you friend here, are you sure he's in the right place? The boy stiffened like a box and tidled his head away while apologizing to Izuku. It seems like he doesn't know how to handle people very well if he's off asking questions about others like that. Before Katsuki could explode, Izuku interrupted, let's start over shall we? I'm Izuku Midoriya and my friend here is Katsuki Bakugo. And he's one of the most heroic people I've met, so please don't say things lick effed about him. I see. He took a minute to recognize his errors before straightening out. I am Tenya Ida from Somei Private Academy. Katsuki didn't grumble anything out coherently but did incoherently say that he'll have fun tearing apart the boy. Kaken. Hey. I know that voice, it's you from the practical exam. Thank you for saving me and all that, but oh my goodness, I can't wait to see what our teacher is like. And I can't wait to meet everybody. What do you say, Midoriya? It's the girl Uraraka. Izuku was surprised that she too was in his class. It must be his lucky day to know more than one person here who doesn't hate him. Izuku was going to respond, but a dull voice carried over his squeak of a reply. If you're here to just make friends, then you can pack up your things and leave. They all scrambled to their seat where their homeroom teacher was waiting. Welcome to UA's hero course. Aizawa sounded dead and void of anything living, but deep inside he felt something stir as he looked straight ahead at the freckled boy and his friend. Izuku Midoriya and Katsuki Bakugo. Put on your gym uniforms and head on outside. Not wanting to waste more time, the students of Class 1A hurried to their respective locker rooms and rushed on outside like told. What about orientation? Uraraka was brave to question. You can't waste time on pointless ceremonies. Here at UA, teachers have freedom to do what they please to run their classroom. This is mine. Now, all of you have been taking standardized tests since elementary but without your quirks. He took a moment to pause and look at each one of his students. Some panic while others looked hyped as they quickly figured what was about to happen. Good, some know the hardships and the others, let's hope they can learn. The country is still trying to pretend that it's created equal and all of us are too. But those born with the most power excel while the others are left behind and looked down upon dash. Maybe Izuku could look up at this teacher. He seems aware. Maybe he'll be different. It's not rational. One day the administration of educators will learn so, but until then. Bakugo, you got the second highest score on the exam. What was your farthest softball throw in junior high? Aizawa's little speech came to an end, but all Izuku could think is, what about those who are quirkless? He just mentioned those with weaker or mental quirks, but not those without it. Izuku will give him the benefit of the doubt. 67 meters, I think. Try doing it with your quirk. Bakugo grinned atrociously. Anything goes, just stay in the circle. Aizawa stood off to the side and impatiently said, come on, you're wasting our time. All right then, you asked for it. Moving into a better position, he thought about the best way to improve the score. Add a little bit of heat. More power and more dramatic flair. Die. That. Izuku didn't think Kaken would scream it out, but here he was, smiling for the antics of his loud friend. He just knew he would go far. You will too, kid. Believe in yourself. Why yeah, you're right Nana. You're right. 705.2. Whoa, 705 meters? That looks like fun. I wanna go. That's what I'm talking about. Using our quirks as much as we want. You think this is fun? Well, why not add a curveball in there? Whoever gets the lowest score is expelled. No, but since you have 3 years to become the best heroes you can be, this isn't going to be all fun and games. Welcome to UA. Izuku stood petrified, shaking as the words of Nana washed over him. He couldn't do it, he won't be able to. What if? You're not going to end up last, you got that, kid? You're going to show them how capable you are and your worth here and now. All you have to worry about is why your teacher is staring straight at you? What? And no, this cannot be happening. Why is he? No, he couldn't possibly know. It can't even be a single thought, it shouldn't even be a thought in Izuku's mind. Aizawa doesn't have biases. He is a straightforward man. Aizawa is a simple man with simple needs and simple orders. Aizawa isn't biased and he sure as hell isn't unprofessional. So why is he shooting daggers at Izuku Midoriya? Simple. It's because it's all bullshit. Aizawa has never been a simple man with simple needs and wants and wishes. Simple orders be d'med because Aizawa is still a man who doesn't know how to grieve or look beyond. The only thing to question now is if he will ever learn to look above the horizons. Welcome to UA indeed. Izuku couldn't understand why the man was busy glaring daggers at him and why he seemed so familiar. While other students went to take their part of the exam, he was busy thinking of his new teacher. It wasn't until it was his turn to do the long-distance jump did he finally realize. Too bad it caused him to drop his hold of one for all. It's okay though, he got the best score for it. But because he dropped one for all, it meant that he fell on his bum in front of everyone. Had he not realized the man's hero alias, Izuku would surely freeze up and pass away respectively. Your Eraserhead. Kaken, I finally figured out who our teacher is and why he looked so familiar. Izuku beamed at his friend who momentarily looked shocked but snickered anyways. Yeah, he does look like the homeless hero. Aizawa was flabbergasted. In all of his years of teaching, there wouldn't be a single soul who figured his identify without he himself telling his class. And that was always at the end of the exam, early on if the kids were too excited and caused him to use erasure. Has this been another, they would surely let their shock be known. Aizawa wouldn't. Who is that? Some of the students whispered. I think I've heard of the name before from my parents. Yaoyorozu muttered quietly with Todoroki nodding besides her. Normal responses, he supposes. Yes, I am. Course it wasn't a question but he felt he needed to clarify. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Eraserhead, an underground hero. Based on your responses as well as past students' responses, I'd say I'm doing a pretty damn good job at my job. Midoriya, if you don't mind me asking, how did you know? It wasn't every day that he would be spotted by a fanboy. His glare was full force but Izuku didn't mind it one bit, too excited that he finally put together the puzzle. Oh, well, you looked really familiar and I couldn't figure it out until now. I remember searching you up after I found something about another underground hero. You two worked alongside to defeat a trafficking ring down in Tokyo which is out from your routine schedule, but your quirk was needed to detain the main suspect. Though looking back into it, it would have also made sense to bring someone like Midnight along, but you and Ms. Joke absolutely did an amazing job. And because Ms. Joke was there, it helped the situation an insane amount, so it's understandable why she went instead of Mindite. In true Izuku nature, he went on a rambling rampage, one that wasn't articule. The small insider of his brain stunned Aizawa and he didn't know what to do it. As he was about to use his quirk on the boy, to shut him up and definitely not see how he would react, possibly gaining useful information, Katsuki came to Izuku's rescue with little knowledge of him knowing so. Oi, you're creeping them out, nerd. Like magic, the freckled boy snapped out of it and blushed. Sorry. Let's just get back to finishing those tests. Some tests were easier for Izuku to complete than the others. And by complete, it's really just knowing that he won't get the worst score out of the rest of his class. Finally, it was time for his turn at the ball throw. He knows his arms are strong and can possibly throw around 100 meters, but if he has the chance to possibly kick it, it's a ball throw. It'll be fine. Just like he imagined, his score was not disappointing. Thanks to all the muscle workouts and a sturdy position, the ball traveled farther than his original calculation. All in all, Izuku felt pretty confident in his physical abilities with or without a quirk. So why did the scoreboard say he got last place? 20. Izuku Midoriya. Of course Aizawa has access to all of the scores and could easily place them wherever he pleases. Though he hasn't done this particular nasty trick in a long time, he decided to pull out most of his teacher tricks. To know if they have what it takes. Now he's testing to see if Midoriya had what it takes to even be somebody in this society. No help from others whatsoever. Soft murmurs restlessly arose from his new class. Some in disagreement and others in worry. Or in Katsuki's case, said. Everyone was talking except for the body who was bound to be expelled. Better luck next time he supposes, especially if he doesn't speak up now. Time is ticking, sweet Midoriya. Tick tick tick. I think you have a mistake. Excuse me? Now here is where the real exam. I think there was an error in your exam. He saw others nod in small agreements, not really noticeable but there if one catches it. Well, this just got interesting. Aizawa didn't respond verbally, he decided to quirk an eyebrow, urging Izuku to continue. Based on the ranking of the exam, the way each of my classmates were ranked were based on how well they did for each exam. Though you never showed us the results for each person, that's simply how it is, and that's on simple observation. Though, if it were just that, then Yaoyorozu would have gotten a smaller rank. Instead she didn't, so you obviously took into account on how well they use their quirk and how familiar they are with it. There it is. There is Aizawa's grab. Familiar. Though his tone was as no tone as ever, though there was no usage of his quirk, though there was no sign of any evidence that he could be onto Izuku. There wasn't any to suggest that he wasn't, and why he singled out that simple word wasn't an indication to call Izuku out. In Izuku's mind he was thinking of a way to not panic and come up with anything. It's times like these where lying would come useful. Good thing he had to lie to his mother for so long. Lying is just another language Izuku speaks fluently. How sad. Form of expression. Aizawa knew it was a lie and the kid knew that he knows. But it does stray him away from the truth or possible truth. Not bad. Right? You say I made a mistake. Yes. If not, why you then your tablet? Most definitely that or another option that I won't publicly say. At least not now. Is that a threat? Of course not, but I wouldn't think Nizu would be pleased to hear that one of his workers ended up being so discriminative despite preaching about the injustice in society. How am I being discriminative? If anything, wouldn't your skills be to blame for your failure? Izuku stilled. Not because he didn't have anything to bring up, but because throughout the whole conversation he wasn't fully in control of his body. Nana decided it was ideal to take over partially. It would explain his sudden confidence boost and little stutter. But Izuku heard and stilled at that simple word. Failure. He just knew Aizawa wouldn't be different from past teachers. It would be fine had he not been a hero or even a teacher at UA, but he is, and he could possibly be a danger to other students. Izuku had been through this enough to know what to do. Or to please others. If that's the way it had to be. Izuku, Squirt, you've dedicated yourself entirely for this past year to even make it into the school, and now that your beach butt teacher is trying to stop you, you give up? That doesn't sound like you or like your new school's motto. Then what do I do? He clearly knows something, it could be that, and if he does then we're all in jeopardy. Jay, just let me take over. Is that a good idea? Wouldn't your voice come out instead of mine? Possession is a fine art that Yoichi and the rest of us have practiced. You're in good hands, kid. If you say so. Katsuki knew that Deku wasn't Izuku. He also knew that one of the Vestiges must have possessed or gave Izuku the confidence to blackmail their teacher. He also knew that if they didn't help Izuku, then he would have done so himself. Because if he wasn't sure about all of this, he knew that whatever that scoreboard says is a bunch of bullshit. How is it possible that a boy who passed multiple tests with one of the highest marks came after a boy with purple ball for hair and an invisible girl? Which, he's truly just mentioning the purple ball freak. For all he knows, the girl could be super jacked with freakishly long legs and a sturdy build to help her in all of these tests, it's quite possible. But the purple freak? He's the shortest, most perverted, scrawny chump here. If Katsuki didn't see all the training Deku made himself go through or even just the muscle, then sure maybe it's possible. but the demon nerd has thighs almost rivaling Mirko's and arms that could be considered as lean. Maybe he didn't beat the octopus guy, but he didn't exactly fail the test either. So what the hell is this homeless hero's deal? I know this yellow caterpillar did not just say that dash. What I mean to say is that saying that about your students is very toxic. Looks like someone got to Yoichi, most plausibly Nana getting control. Katsuki is just thankful Izuku doesn't sound like either of them. But there's something in his eyes. Is that? Nana is absolutely vivid. But she is classy and knows how to deal with people. She dealt with all got one before her fated battle anyways. Toxic? And Aizawa still has the audacity. Yes, we as kids are still very influential and impressed by our environment. It's one of the reasons why everyone is so against quirkless people, which I noticed you didn't mention in your speech about the inequality in our country, but more specifically, our education. Why is that? Is it dangerous that Nana has decided to bring in this topic? More risky than fighting all for one head-on without a plan, she'd say, but she's dead now, so her life is gone. This is Izuku's, and if he hasn't gained the necessary confidence, then she will help protect his future. She's a hero after all. What are you trying to say? I'm not saying anything that you haven't implied. Get to the point, Midoriya. This whole conversation has been illogical and very time-wasting. Quite frankly, for this simple discussion, I should have had you expelled minutes ago. But you haven't, and that's another ruse of yours, isn't it? I digress on that discussion. Why did I get the lowest score when everyone here saw that I did better than the small one over there? Hey! Nana glared right back at Aizawa. His stare was unnerving, but he didn't have to deal with centuries-old monsters. It lasted quite a while until he broke off. Something must have happened. She let go quickly. Everyone around saw a regular Izuku. Katsuki saw Nana's sweet eyes hold anger and ruination flicker from green to purple. A glance at Aizawa he saw too, to see if the target was serious about becoming a hero and defying a teacher's stance of power. He remained as passive as ever, but with a new jitters crawling up his skin. How many did you expel with that? Every single kid I've asked, all except you. A smile broke into Izuku's plump face. Eyes shining with each and every color. Thank you, sensei. Aizawa nodded and told them to go change and meet him back at homeroom. Izuku may have been beaming and glistening with happiness, and possibly activating his quirk just enough to make him float, but it was to be expected of him. His classmates surrounded him and questioned how he did what he did. He simply told them he was possessed and couldn't have done it otherwise. It wasn't a lie, but it never seemed like a truth. He'll be fine. Aizawa, on the other hand, was piecing together more and more theories. Midoriya had mentioned the word familiar. He accused him of being a prick who discriminates and even asked him why he didn't mention quirkless people. And the last piece of information, the most vital one, is that his eyes flashed purple and saw people standing inside. It was so quick though that he could have imagined that. But it was right there. What the hell is this year going to look like, and why is it possible one of his students have been talking with the underground boogeyman? It's fine. He'll just have to think logically and proceed with caution. He's a hero for Kami's sake. And heroes exterminate all possible threats. Nizu will surely love to figure out this enigma. The Vestiges may have felt a little guilty. Actually, they felt really guilty for what was happening to the two boys who they're supposed to protect. And they failed them. They went too far with scaring Aizawa. They don't regret the action but the consequence it had. After classes were over, both boys were called to Nizu's office where they saw All Might, in his deflated form, with a man in a fedora walking out of the office. It immediately put them in high alert. It's fine, it's whatever. It's concerning. But there wasn't anything else they could do now except wish for the best. And possibly end up talking with Nizu, in hopes he'll believe them and wish for them to succeed. Hopefully Aizawa didn't tell him about the incident earlier in the day, but the way All Might glanced in their direction, he most definitely did. More air to fire to make a bigger flame. When the two finally reached his door, Izuku gave a small knock to notify of their existence. Course it wasn't needed, the Chimera knows all. Come in, boys. Nizu called out in his cheery voice. As they entered together, they were quick to focus in on the files on his desk and tightening grasp on his cup of tea in fine china. Izuku thought to himself this would be the final place he ever took another breath in. To write a note to his mother and apologize for everything that he put her through. There was absolutely no way either Katsuki or Izuku would come out unscathed or while. That's just the reality of it. Why UW wanted to see us? Izuku stumbled over his words and not quite meeting Nizu's eyes. It only served more of an intriguing factor in this case but did not affect Nizu the slightest. He, unlike Aizawa, had no biases, not until he knows all the facts. Thus, I've been made aware of your situation, Midoriya. Going 14 years of your life presumed to be quirkless, and then at the age of 15 you suddenly gain one. Never to be heard of from another, the latest being 7 years old. Care to explain? He doesn't have to explain Jack's hit to you or to anyone else. And why play all these mind games? You're one to get straight into things, so what's up with this? Please do try to refrain from using vulgar language, Bakugo. Though you do have an excellent point, so let's just get straight to it. He smiled politely as if asking them for permission. They didn't respond, but that didn't stop him from not taking action. Have you or have you not been in contact with All for One? How do you know about All for One? Please, I'm one of the highest mammals in this time PRD. I simply would have to know about the existence of one of the most vile villains of all time. Fair. You didn't answer my question. You have a theory. I want to hear it. Now, how is that fair? Life has been unfair to me as much as it has been to you. There's a simple way to live. I had to learn that the hard way. This is simply just making sure I see another. I suppose you are correct. The quirkless have to have some sort of defense if they don't want to be killed, don't they? If they don't do it themselves. Izuku muttered evenly and his eyes shy away from Katsuki. Though the friendship have mended and he has forgiven the explosive boy, the words hurt. And on that day in that instant it felt like a dagger piercing through his heart repeating the action, but each time, it was all the more painful. He couldn't help it. I see. This seems to be a sore spot, one that I do wish to look further into, but for now let's settle on all that there is with One for All and All for One. Matters such as bearing the quirk. How can that possibly be when there is already a holder? Is it possible that All for One had a hold of it and you simply were there at the right time and place? Or is it something more magnificent? Izuku shared a look with Katsuki. It was obvious on their clear disagreement, the matter of whether or not telling the mammal or not. Katsuki urged it. Surprisingly, Nizu is one of the smartest creatures to have roamed these lands and would be a great help. Izuku was highly against it, for fears of bigotry and pent-up anger, fear of getting expelled, fear of the man who bared it once before and the current holder who doesn't even have a firm grasp. Izuku knows the great advantage of Nizu being in on the secret and possibly even trusting them. He holds unbelievable amounts of power that one could never dream of denying. But he also knows what fear is like, and for once in his life he hasn't felt it all because of the power he was graced with. Call him selfish, but he wouldn't dream of ever departing with it. With them. Now that they don't call to him. They call to the boy next to him and instead, take over the body they rest in. It's a weird experience to say the least, and at first, Izuku doesn't realize what has happened until it's too late. No. Please no. I finally have something and think we'll ruin it. Please. You don't know what it's like to be useless just because you are quirkless. He won't understand because no one does. He'll think I'm a thief and throw me to the wolves and prison and, Yoichi please. You have to let me go. Izuku wasn't even fully in the universe that is One for All, so he couldn't even see Yoichi, but he felt him and the rest of them. He felt their hands on his body, so he won't be able to come back to his body and stop Katsuki. It wouldn't even matter at that point. Katsuki told everything to Nizu. And he made it FNG clear that he wasn't to speak until after he's finished all because the second came and told Katsuki what to do and to do it quickly. I'm sorry kid, but I swear this is for the best for everyone. What? So you don't think I'm worthy anymore dash? That's not what we're trying to say. Oh, save it. This hasn't been the first FNG time his has happened to me. You could have gone back to Mirio and let me. Maybe then I would have still been a student at UA. But now my dreams are ultimately crushed. Kami. I should have known it was only a matter of time. We don't want him, we want you. We've told you this and we will keep on telling you until you truly understand. We won't betray you or leave you stranded. Lies. Izuku's possessed form broke as he cried streams of tears. The two who were fully present weren't expecting him to return so quickly. Nor were they expecting him to cry, maybe aware? Izuku rushed to collect his things and maneuvered around the fallen things. Seems like his quirk had gotten grasp from the past users. No, it's not his. He stole it from someone who would be a great hero. Midoriya, if you would just wait a bit dash. What so I could be publicly humiliated by everyone in this hero school? Thanks, but I'm good. Why would you be humiliated? At Nizu's genuine confusion, Izuku stilled and turned to him with a dazzling smile. A smile he used to cover up bruises and burns and words full of detest. Izuku looked him dead in the eye and never stuttered, I'm a useless Deku, one who couldn't even be born with a quirk. Maybe I should take a swan dive off of a roof and pray for a quirk in my next life. Since clearly, I'm being expelled for stealing All Might's protege's new quirk. You're not being expelled, Bakugo has explained to me the situation. Oh, so you believe him? As I would believe you. Don't lie to me. Midoriya, it's as you said before, we are both victims of this cruel society and its prejudice norms. But I believe you can change it, Bakugo as well and maybe others. You have the heart to be a hero, so let me take you under my paw and help hone these skills you so brilliantly possess. This is your hero academia after all. Izuku didn't know what to believe, but he's been let down so many times in his life that he didn't want to take it. But he's selfless, and so he takes the chance because he believes in Nizu and his words. He wouldn't lie not to a boy who has lost too much already. Not to someone who shares pain of abuse too. Okay. Wonderful. Now Bakugo, I would like to stay and talk to you about this even more. Midoriya, you could visit the support labs in hopes to find something you would like. I will be telling your homeroom teacher to start to introduce support weapons, possibly used for a rescue training. Izuku nodded and left. Too drained to even think of what has happened in the last few minutes. Though he supposes it's okay. Not now, Yoichi. Yoichi. We understand. We'll be here. Whenever you need us, so. Just leave a message? Izuku didn't respond this time. He didn't want to, too bothered by his emotions he barely felt because that's just not who is as a person. And now there was too many of them and Izuku couldn't be bothered to sort them out. He swallowed them for later. Bad coping method maybe. But it's what he knew and what was familiarized with. Familiarization is comforting, no matter how poisonous it is. His eyes stuck to the ground. His shoulders up to his ears, and he tried his best to make himself as small as possible. When he finally made it to the support class, there was a loud boom followed by a deep lunatic chuckle and pink hair. Whoa-ho-ho. I think this is the one, sensei. Why you blew it up though? Izuku's soft voice surprised him as well as the pink-haired girl. Unless it was supposed to do that, and if so then, well, congrats? The girl stood still and her eyes focused on Izuku. The longer she stood staring, the longer he wished to not have said anything. I like you, let's make babies together dash. Huh. It wasn't Izuku's voice that cut through the smoke, it was Katsuki who, by the looks of it, seemed to have finside his discussion with Nizu. Great. Seems like this fellow needs you for something. The name is Mei Hatsum, future owner of Hasjim Industries. You two seem like hero students by the looks of your uniforms, so come by and see me if you ever need some support gear. I have babies to make, so toodles. With a bang she came and a bang she left. Deku. Izuku flinched. Izuku. What, Katsuki? Are you good? Izuku finally turned to see his friend. Red eyes already trained on him, and when Viridian eyes met his, well, the former flinched. What part of this makes you think that I'm good? Things didn't turn out shitty. But what if it had Katsuki? What then? Because the most probable explanation that I could think of is me being thrown into Tartarus for supposedly stealing a Kami DMN quirk. Or maybe I would have gotten the death sentence right away, because if a quirkless freak can steal quirks from symbols, then maybe I'd finally be acknowledged, but for all of the wrong reasons. And if that's not enough, they would surely massacre the rest of the quirkless population. Good riddance, huh? So no, Katsuki. Okay. Izuku didn't wait for Katsuki's reaction or response. Maybe a year ago he would have been terrified of even talking to Katsuki, but that was then and this is now. And now? Well, Izuku is tired and said. He ran straight out of UA and onto new streets, with no sense of direction or sense of safety regarding himself. Not like he had much before. If he survived junior high, then surely he could survive lonesome streets. Katsuki was pulled aside once more. By Nizu, which he should have expected. They didn't talk about the suicide baiting. It's strictly just one for all business. He isn't worried though. Not for his sake, at least. He didn't think he was hero material not after that. Izuku, however? He was destined to become one. So he may not care about his own standing at the school, he is worrying greatly for his friend. A friend he just got back after all these years of abuse he out him through. The world has been too unfair and unkind to the small boy. Katsuki is part to blame. He doesn't know he wasn't the ringleader he chose to believe and was moved the title, and Kami he never fails to remember that. The boy was too distraught to notice another figure. A figure who looked over at the boys in the midst of their discussion and after the chimera pulled his aside. It wasn't on purpose, they were simply checking up on the explosion that was on their way out of campus. Call it good or bad timing, it's undecided still. Nonetheless, that is the fate of that decision. The hero went to follow the distraught boy while the other was in the possession of the principal. Izuku knew he shouldn't have reacted that way. Much less in an open area where anyone could hear where they could hear, but it wouldn't matter now because what is done is done. He'll just have to live with the consequences. Like always. It's always his fault. Nothing will ever change. He's always been the cause of destruction and that will never change. Izuku's panicked running came to a fast jog in which decreased as he ran out of air. Each time he turned a random corner, he was met with less and less people. It wasn't until his final turn of corner where the population was visibly dead that he finally noticed everything. Or really, the lack of anything. But his mind was too occupied, remembering all the torment he was put through from the age of 4 all the way to 14, to even notice the gravity of the situation. It's okay though. Everyone who appeared from the shadows did know the gravity of the situation. Why, they knew it all too well. That's what makes it fun, when everyone was on board. Bakugo. The blonde stayed quiet, too quiet. Had it not been for his tight position and small movement indicating he's breathing, he very well looked like a corpse in an office. Bakugo. What? The blonde never stays quiet for long. Would you like to explain to me what just happened out there? No. Bakugo. Nizu wasn't expecting for the boy to look at him, he wasn't expecting shaking shoulders or red eyes and nose, he wasn't expecting a venting session, he wasn't expecting the truth. But just because he wasn't expecting doesn't mean he didn't react as an adult should. He may not be the biggest fans of humans, but that's a small detail in the grand scheme of things. It paled in comparison to his duty as an educator, as a principal, as a hero. His duties lie in helping civilians, but even then, that wasn't his first priority. No, that goes to helping his students. What do you want me to say? That I bullied my childhood friend so effing awful to the point where everything else became a blur in my life? I can't remember a time where I wasn't scowling at everyone around me. Well, no, that's not true because I smiled when I told my best friend to FANG jump off of a roof and prayed to Kami that he may get one in his next life. And if that wasn't enough, everyone else thought it was a good idea to follow my lead and act upon it, and no FING cared. I never even meant that sheet, but when they came so close to killing him, it looked like he decided that on his own. We're back to being friends now, but that doesn't matter if he can't return to how it was before everything went to. I may be blaming the world for never teaching me no or what's right from wrong, but I will always blame myself first for what happened. If it wasn't for me, then he would still have friends and be on his way to becoming the first quirkless hero. Kami knows this world needs it. It's all of my fault. Katsuki let out tiny explosions but was quick to wipe away any excess substance from his hands. He was quick to wipe his tears, but they couldn't stop, bawling on the ground with his shoulders shaking and repeating sorries. To Izuku? Nizu? Himself. He expected to be expelled right after he composed himself. Whenever that would happen. Just like his friend, he too was oblivious to his world, but unlike his friend. Katsuki. The boy sniffled an incoherent response. Katsuki, forgive me for not using your family name, but this situation seems like it's needed. The boy snapped his head towards the chimera when he felt a warm paw rest on his shoulder. Now I won't say what you did was okay and that you didn't know better while you didn't. It still is never okay to push someone to that extent. I won't list the possibilities of what could have happened because you clearly know more than I do in this situation. Then what will you say? That you aren't expelled. Izuku seems to forgive you, so mature, but he doesn't seem to be able to move past that. Based on what you've been telling me, it also seemed like everything was moving very fast for him, and when a moment of his old life came to resurface, well, we saw what happened, didn't we? Why won't you expel me? I'm no better than a villain. Izuku is still hurting, all because of me. Because of culpability. You feel guilt and seem to be trying to better yourself. It's horrible that it took you this long, but it's better to be late than to never have an awakening moment. However, I do wish to hand you over some therapy recommendations if you haven't seemed some out already. I'm in anger management therapy already, but I'll tell my parents to just add me in therapy too. Katsuki wiped his eyes again, face flushed from crying so much, and his voice was hoarse. Nizu clapped his paws together and continued, "Wonderful, but do ask of Ms. Midoriya to seek help for Izuku as well." Okay. Good, now to finish our talk. Bakugo flipped faces rather quickly, but this was no time to question silly things such as that. All for One is still kicking the hay. How are you so confident in this? Izuku has one for all. Simple as that? The blonde took a moment to look for the correct words. There wouldn't be any, and they sure as hell shouldn't be filtered. Not exactly. Despite what the FING donkey believes, the quirk is alive. The past users of it may be dead, but spiritually, they are very much alive. After the first time Izuku used the power to save us from dying, the first and second user came and appeared. Before you ask, it was due to Yoichi the first, finding out what All Might just did prior to that day. The second tagged along and noticed the change of environments. They disappeared after that. There was one or two more incidents like the first one, but yet most recent ones were that of today. When Aizawa saw the previous users in Midoriya's eyes and when he was paralyzed just now? Exactly. Though this would be the first time of possession. The quirk is alive. One for All is not just a quirk, it's more than that. If it could feel Izuku when he saved me from the sludge villain, then they sure as hell know if the lunatic brother is alive or dead. Nizu's eyes harden and his smile widens. Katsuki wouldn't say he was terrified because he wasn't, at least not at his principal. He would, however, say he was frantic of what was bound to come. Something always came. Nizu wasn't much different. He knows most of the cards at hand, but not all because of the quirk in question. It didn't help that the man they were looking for is a god among those in the underground, but even they didn't know his whereabouts. So even if his grin showed fearless bravery ready to take action, his fur stood on ends and his tail was stiff, true to heart. This game has gotten a lot bigger than I had anticipated. What happens now? There's still two respected heroes who want us gone and possible maniacs after Izuku. Teachers may have a freedom of running their class, but I'm still the principal and have decided to take you both on as my students after classes. My jurisdiction reigns over both. As for the villains, well, you both will learn to fight smarter and stronger. And if such a time comes when we need students to fight head-on, you both are very influential. May that day never come. Knock on wood. Knock on wood indeed. My. What a wonderful present His Majesty has brought to our neck of the woods. The shadows talked and Izuku had no choice but to listen. Skin cracked as a yellow smile took place from the dark. What a perfect present. Izuku was as oblivious as Katsuki was, but his friend would be okay. He always was. Would he? Izuku is no stranger to fear or danger. Not that he actively goes out to fight or puts an end to injustice situations. He's the one who heroes need to save. Maybe not the heroes who are official or pro, the ones with flashy quirks and fit bodies with a persona to fit the image, but the heroes who wear no cape and hold a helping hand out. The ones who show kindness and consideration with love sewn onto their glassy eyes. The ones where people take too much from and end up making an actual glass-like figure. The ones who either are taken advantage of or go unnoticed by society. He's always been in need of that hand. But things don't always go in the way a movie does. While there are some people who end up getting that hand that's desired, there are others who slip through the cracks. The ones where people stare and watch in horror but aid in nothing but view. Those are the ones who fall farther. Then there are the ones who do get help, but it's all in vain and fruitless kindness. There's no warmth or care, it's all fake. There are those who lay in streets, skin to bones, shivers running like a mother's hand, and result in violence. No villain inborn, they're all made. At least, that's what Izuku believes. He's no stranger to hatred, he's an acquaintance with it, never going beyond acquaintances. He's familiarized with it. Danger likes to follow him like a child follows candy. It's greedy and taunting, but never causes true harm. Well, no, that's not entirely true. It is if one is to turn a blind eye on the dark lulling thoughts or sharp flowers and twisted ways, and he's known fear when he was young. No visual memories of his father, but the emotions imprinted on him and his mother and the way he heard all those things being shouted at her, he's gone. Peace eventually settles in, but it doesn't stay for long. Since he heard that traitorous diagnosis, fear crept up on him whenever he walked to school and returned from. Kids are mean after all. Then there are those times when his mom took an extra night shift as the law firm she works at and forgot to inform her son. Like fear and danger, abandonment is no foe. And though these experiences gained up in him over the past years, it doesn't mean he's grown a tolerance against it. It simply means he's aware. That's all. So when a group of low-life thugs come barreling in and crash into Izuku, or the other way around according to them, there's not exactly a lot of shock. Just fatigue. What a perfect present. The last one of the three grumbled. The group of three consisted of 2 mutant quirked people and the other with sharp teeth and paper-white skin. One of the mutants had purple skin and red hair with stripes running down it bigger frame's body. His teeth were sharp and the claws didn't exactly make the knockoff version of a Monsters Inc. character look ready for hugs. The other wasn't much better, very much impersonating a character from another pre-Quirk era show on Cartoon Network. Yoichi had a field day during those 10 months. The last of the group, the one who spoke, was more threatening-like. Nothing to do with his quirk, but everything to do with the aura he emitted. His yellow eyes contrasted against his white skin. He looked like a phantom. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking where I was heading. If you'll excuse me, really, Izuku should have known that bowing and then sidestepping would work on no one, especially no thugs. He did it anyway but got blocked by the 3. Now where are you heading? It's quite rude to leave in the middle of a conversation. The man turns to the others who nod with greed. Their impossibly sharp smiles turn even sharper. I really need to get back home and my mother will worry so. Excuses won't work, Izuku. Nonsense. We won't keep you long. Exactly. We just want to have some fun, hero. You go to UE, so surely you would know formalities. How did they find his uniform? Slightly different from those in different apartments, but anyone on the streets would recognize the familiar dress code of the famous academy. Izuku couldn't lie even if he wanted to. Nor was it a time to speak, it seemed. How else could he escape this rising situation? Analysis could only get you so far, and without a proper license to make use of the quirk. Cat got your tongue, hero? Whatever, I have a feeling our little meeting will be interrupted one way or another, so I'll make this quick. Got that, punk? The man walked closer to Izuku and bent down to meet his eye. His Majesty is well aware. He knows. No, he couldn't possibly know. Just play stupid, Izuku, you got this. Knows what? Who is he? I think we both know who I'm referring to, Izuku. Just know that quizzling people always have the most fun. Quizzling? Izuku was struck with horror. It hasn't even been a week and there's already a possible traitor, and if there is one, what's their goal? What motif could they possibly hope to achieve? Is it someone? Or is it simple power? But if they're infiltrating UA, wouldn't they already possess such power? Looks like you understood the gravity of this, kid. The man smirked red. his posee following suit, and to make themselves seem bigger, they puffed out their chest and the aura around them changed. It hasn't even been a week into this new school year, what could they possibly want? There was no smile on Izuku's face, nor was there any indication of any other emotion other than anger painted so thinly. If it's power, there are other ways to gain it. If it's someone, then wouldn't that eliminate the person? There isn't anyone new except the first years, but if they're targeting someone, then it could be a teacher who would know of changes in the school year. But my real question is, why tell me? The man didn't look nervous as the freckled boy talked and talked. He didn't flinch when he got half of the truth. What he did do was grin at Cheshire Cat and twist it with horror and pain. Because everything hurts more when you know you could have done something and end up failing and losing everyone. The Monsters Inc. wannabe stepped up and carried a grim response. Hero, I don't know if you know this, but villains aren't created, they're born. This caused the two others to flinch and reel back. The man of the hour held back a bit. Seems as if his life flashed before his eyes. Don't take it personal, punk. But that's just the way of the world. And if the boss is correct about you, then surely you know how twisted the world really is. Hell, it's woeful and lousy that it's enough to make people change their morals. The third one spoke. His face expression held anger and resentment, but his eyes were a true indicator of what he felt. What they all felt. Had this been another life, Izuku would think not twice of their words. Villains twist their words to gain sympathy and then take the knife. Had this been another life, Izuku could possibly be the one to share these words, gain power not through violence but words. Had this been another life, there are so many what-ifs and possible universes. But that's all in another life and not the one where Izuku lives in. Izuku noted this. Possible gain sympathy towards villains, and he may think the same in theory, but what he truly knows in this current moment is that everything he once believed is nothing but a big fat lie. He won't share his new thoughts with them, they could serve as a double-edged knife. What he will do is comment once more and turn away. I'm guessing you all won't share with me who the possible fiend is, but that's fine. Thank you for sharing this with me, and if it helps, the monster may have captured you, but who you once were doesn't seem to have strayed so far. As the boy walks back to the heart of the city to catch a late train, he'll keep to himself, lost in his mind once more. He'll let the Vestiges comfort him as he accepts the written fates of those who stooped low in return of acceptance. Aye. Is this about a traitor at school, Katsuki, or is it about villains in general? It's a little of everything. I'm angry at Kak and Dash. But you forgave? Do you not? No. I mean, yes. Look, Nana, I'm hurt by what you all did. Being quirkless, I know what to expect from the majority of people. I mean, you know what Kaken did in the past years. Just, with him it felt as if he's betraying me all over again and abandoning me. It's hard to explain. That's all right, kid. And we're sorry for putting you through that, but no, we won't betray or abandon you ever. We love you dearly. Thanks, really. Now, what about those folks? Well, the traitor thing seems so surreal. I worry that if I were to bring it up, then it'll only be against my favor. I want to help people, but if they write me off as the traitor, then there's no one to help the world. All for one has something sickly up his sleeve, and I don't want to take risks as it is now. Besides, what if something happens and they'll think I was the source? That's a tough one, kid. You're in a position where the scale with tilt to either side. It doesn't help that both Toshinori and Aizawa are resentful and hesitant towards you, and if something were to occur, they have connection. But if you don't say something, it'll be just like they predicted. In my line of hero work, not being able to help people always took a toll on me. Banjo also agrees. We'll discuss this and then I'll tell you. Thanks, Nana and the others. As for the last thing, when he first said that, I was taken back. I've always heard or read in manga and comics that villains stance born villains. Sure, there are an odd one out who's a lunatic, but most are born as any other person. Then I realized that he didn't mean born as in baby, but similar to created. To have them say it and acknowledge they weren't always like this? Nana, why is this world so cruel? Izuku shook with tears. His sobs were ugly and his nose was runny, his face was down on the mattress, and all he wanted was his mother. He wanted her loving nature to hold him and to whisper reassurances, to tell him everything will be okay even if it may be a white lie. Alas, Inko took an extra shift at the law firm she worked at, so that left Izuku alone. Funny, he isn't estranged to that either. The Vestiges huddled around the tear-stricken boy. They've seen him cry, for others and never himself except once or twice. They've seen him cry tears of joy, but this wasn't joy. It's grievance for those who were deemed as useless, much like he was, and thrown away, only to be saved by others who were written in similar manner. Nana believes he's too young to know the dangers of the world. Like Inko, she too was a mother, and whenever her baby was hurt, she was there when she could. Like Inko, she was willing to shield him from the world. Nana made some mistakes along the way. One of them was never saying goodbye, but she hopes to mend those issues and comfort the boy she's grown close to and sees as a second son. She doesn't realize she manifested into his room. She doesn't realize she was stroking his curly forest hair as he cries into her lap. A soft smile adorned her face, and her eyes were pulled in worry and in equal sadness. I don't know why the world is cruel and painful, but what I do know is that there will be people to help change that fact. Izuku, you may be young, but you are more than aware. Awareness is good, I think. It's even greater when someone has a better chance to fix the cracks. I'm sorry if it seems like I'm forcing such responsibilities onto you. Trust when I say it isn't my intention. We understand it's all too much too soon, so take it easy and let us do the hard work for you. The boy didn't respond verbally, he just wept harder and held Nana, scared she'll leave. She fears the same, so she simply held him a bit closer and hummed a soft tune her own mother taught her. Rest now, my child. Tomorrow is a new day, and surely a hero will rise. We'll protect you and won't ever depart. So rest freely. Nana let her hand run through Izuku's curls. She felt him sink deep into her and clutch her shirt tightly. The small act, it made her remember a lot of things. For instance, the memory of her own child clinging onto her after a rough day. The other would be the moments from the past few weeks. They've all noticed him struggle a little bit more than usual. They watched him hurt more with each day. Whether it be stress from a new life or just trying to adjust. 10 months seem like a long time, but compared to a decade of being told your worth is no more than a penny on a sidewalk, it's draining to be placed in a position where your worth is priceless. To be told you're nothing to everyone and then having to struggle to come to terms with that it's false. Every hatred-laced lie is just that, a lie. Having nothing to having everything in the palm of your hand is extremely overwhelming. Learning to change and grow when everyone else had time to learn a little bit more about themselves as they weren't brutally attacked for just living. Izuku's shoulders were hunched whenever he was alone. His mind often wandered, and he pinched his skin to make sure this isn't some cruel nightmare dressed in sheep clothing. He couldn't accept that this was all his. This was his new life. It's a blessing. It's new. It's everything he wasn't ever accustomed to. Izuku lived in a routine of life. The biggest changes in his life were his father leaving and then Kaken leaving him too. Even then it wasn't as big as it is now. He doesn't remember much of his father, and since he already left when his best friend went too, it didn't seem all that surprising. He always thought it made sense. If his dad couldn't stay after he was deemed useless, then why would his best friend be any different? So no, Izuku wasn't used to change. He wasn't terrified of it, but he wasn't expecting to be moved with it all either. It all got so overwhelming. Too much. Too fast. And to think they just watched? It's sickening. 3 of them were pro-heroes. The rest weren't, but Cammy knows that they know better than to just sit around when they have the chance to do something. I'm so sorry for not intervening earlier. I should have known better to let you handle it all. I'm sorry I couldn't be your hero, but I'll make sure to be there for you now. We all will. So just rest, sweet boy. We will take care of things. I promise. Her fingers never stopped running through his green curls. His grip never loosened. He never even stirred when she tensed at the sound of keys jingling at the front door, nor did he move when his mother came and kissed him goodnight. Obviously, Nana knew Inko wasn't ever going to see her. Wasn't possible. It was barely possible for a holder to see them in physical form without the starlit room. She still held her breath as the mother took one last look at her son before going to her own room. The breath stilled she hasn't exhaled. Not after she saw the prominent worry lines in the mother. She saw tears ready to be leaked. She also knows how stressed he is. The night carried on with owls crying in the distance and cars softly humming around. The wind carried a sweet tune too. If she has been alive, she too would feel the tiresome aches and cracks in the bones as a regular being would after staying alert the whole night. Her voice would be raw from the soft singing and her hands would cramp from comforting the boy. She wouldn't have complained, never. Instead she waits till he wakes and kisses his crown once more before she departs with her promise. "I'll be your hero." Katsuki was quiet. It was a strange thing for Izuku, and had he not been set at the blonde, surely he would care a little bit more to see what troubles him. Things he has said. Beyond of what anyone could imagine. At least, that's what he's trying to convey. In his opinion, he's doing a pretty great job. Yoichi has other opinions. Too bad they don't matter at this moment. Izuku has been ignoring him all day. He walked ahead of the Kaken, buried himself in one of his new analysis notebooks and put his earbuds in. At lunch, when Kaken finally got the hint, he let Kirishima pull him away and steered him to his group of friends. It kind of hurt Izuku, but anger clouded him a bit more. Whatever, he's been alone before he can survive until Kaken apologizes or something. With his head held high and his shaking hands carrying a tray of katsudon, he made his way over to a lonesome table that sat a purple-haired dude. He seems familiar? "Hi. Can I sit here?" The teen made no sound but signaled for Izuku to sit as he pleased. It was silent as Izuku ate and he debated whether or not he should speak with the boy or not. When he did make up his mind, a new person showed up and stole the seat next to Izuku and across from the lilac teen. "Hiya there. I'm Mei Hatsum and you're the kid I spoke to yesterday. Told you to come see me if you need any help with support items. I also heard your class is going down for a training after lunch. Powerloader Sensei was a bit frantic after another explosion. Oh, but don't worry about it. I fixed it right up." Mei's eyes zoomed in on Izuku with much interest and her hands flew everywhere. She saw his eyes widen with small fear before she continued. "Don't worry, he approved of it. Now I didn't get your name so I'm not too sure if I fixed your costume, but whoever got a diaper-looking thing better hope they don't blow up." "Ha. Kidding slightly. Anywho, why don't you introduce me to your friend over here? Actually, better yet, I'll introduce myself. Hey there, lilac stranger. I'm Mei Hatsum, future owner of Hatsum Industries." She gave a megawatt smile and outstretched her ashen hand. The boy just peeked up, his head on the table, and looked her in the eye and then at Izuku. With a tired sigh, "I'm Shinso Hitoshi." He didn't look like he was going to much, but when he opened his mouth, it wasn't what either expected. Yet it didn't disappoint. No, not at all. "Well, Hatsum, hopefully one day we work together out in the field when I'm a hero. Might have to wait a while before I'm quite there, but don't expect to wait long." He gave a small smirk before his eyes wandered to an excited-looking Z. "Does this mean you're in Class B? Oh, and I'm Izuku Midoriya. Nice to meet you, Shinso." Izuku gave a big smile and his eyes gleamed a little more. Hitoshi scratched the back of his neck, not really excited to tell them the next part, but he has to make his mark somewhere. No, I'm in the general studies, didn't pass the entrance exam. In my opinion it was too biased towards flashy quirks. Though that doesn't mean I don't have a chance. At the sports festival, I have a chance to prove myself and possibly be transferred into one of the courses." His lilac eyes looked elsewhere and his cheeks flushed when the two didn't say anything. It was broken when Izuku beamed even more. "That's so cool you still have a chance. I think you're right about the test being biased and kind of bigotry, especially to those who have mental quirks in which I'm guessing you, yourself has. And you might be transferred earlier. Aizawa-sensei is very harsh of his teachings and I almost got expelled, but that was more of an attack maybe." It was Izuku's turn to flush red and rub his neck. He remembered the small bits of yesterday and the way Nana took over to converse with Aizawa. Not the most favorable but definitely memorable. "He almost expelled you, why?" "It's a complicated story and I'm not sure if I can tell you as of now. Maybe when we become good friends though, it'd be fun to kiss and tell, without the kissing obviously. I'm sorry if that made you uncomfortable. Oh my gosh, what the F, Izuku?" Izuku has stopped functioning. Yoichi was crying out in laughter as he stopped pulling Izuku's leg. So what if he kind of possessed Izuku for the sheets and giggles of it? It's not like anyone would know. Thankfully, Mei and the kid sort of ignored the mistake, is what Izuku would like to say. She actually burst out laughing and smacked her face against the table. "Oh my gosh. That's it. If we're not friends by the end of lunch, then I will quit my work. Also, I look forward to working with you both. So come to me with any suit improvements. Hitoshi looked up in shock before cooking his expression. A small cocky smile styled his lip and a raised brow teased Izuku. Trying to flirt now? You're cute but not my type, sorry shorty. But you both are okay with us being friends, yet you don't even know my quirk. The mood dampened as Hitoshi lost boyish charm. You might not want to continue this friendship afterwards. Mei and Izuku looked at each other before turning to the boy. We'll tell you ours first if that helps. Mei suggested. Yeah, and besides, quirks don't really matter to me. It's honestly just the person. Izuku turned back to his food as he looked at Hitoshi. You seem like a genuine person, so of course I would love to be your friend. You say that now. Hitoshi muttered. Mei decided enough was enough and turned back to her food and then the shying boy. Zooming eyes is my quirk. Super handy for my work but not at all flashy. She turned to her food. Before signaling for Izuku to do the same. Ati, that's super cool. I will ask you about your quirk later. Oh, my quirk is called float. Can wolf float? I passed with rescue points. Actually, now that I think about it, didn't I help you and give you tips? Izuku turned confused. I could have sworn you did so much better afterwards, and it should have gotten you enough points due to how close it was towards the beginning. Had Mei not poked his rib, he would have started to mutter at all the possibilities. Something isn't right. Don't know, but I know I got enough to enter the course. Guess someone just beat me by a point or something. Whatever, doesn't matter now, but anyway, my quirk is brainwashing. I ask a question and can hold them, almost like a puppet. His voice began to trail off and he waited for the harsh words and cruel judgment. His classmates already started to tease him, not to the extent of bullying, but it's just teasing. He was met with a million questions coming from Izuku, but Mei easily voiced over him. If you were worried about us mocking you for your quirk, stop those thoughts now because we're going to continue being best friends and you can't do shit about it. Now, this will change if you go to someone else for support items, then I have no choice but to hunt you down and play villain for a second or something, so think carefully. Also, I agree with Shorty over here, something is odd. Mei wandered off into her own habit of muttering and Izuku then droned her out and Hitoshi? Whiplash. Whiplash. Right? If I could only see what the lowest score was, then maybe I could see what may have happened, and if not, ask Nezu about this. Surely he would know dash. Wait. Hitoshi semi-shouted. It wasn't enough to gain attention but louder than what he was accustomed to. You're not scared? And you are willing to help me sort this problem that might not even be a problem. Mei and Izuku stared at Hitoshi like was stupid and continued with their babbling. Hitoshi just decided to accept it and smile softly, but when he realizes Izuku's last coherent words, he did actually scream. Wait, the rat god. This only made Mei scream even louder. You personally know the rat god? Are you giving us the short stick already, shorty? Do you know how well this could make my business? Connections. Why, you little... The cafeteria turned to stare at them, some in shock, some in annoyance, and others in concern. It was a nice mix, but the three didn't care. They were too busy in teasing the other, the main topic being the freckled boy who finally seemed to relax. As did the other two, for neither of them fit in their own class but found refuge with the smallest. On the other side of the cafeteria sat a blonde just ready to explode and a redhead who smiled in confusion. In front of them sat a blonde boy with a lightning streak, a bubbly bubblegum girl, and a dude with black hair who resembled Spider-Man in quirk. Who is this rat god? Shut the F up. Though he shouted with anger, there wasn't any fire to them when he directed it to the redhead. Luckily, he didn't seem fazed by it either. Problems didn't end up fixing themselves at the end of lunch, and they wouldn't until sunset painted the sky, but for right now, both boys seemed content. Wait, did you say Spider-Man? Holy F, he's one of my top favorite heroes. Do you know how cool he is with the webs and the actors, and holy F dash. Yoichi, shut the F up. You're talking with air. I will fight you second. Toshinori was feeling smug. He felt terrible for feeling such way. A proper hero shouldn't feel like this at all, it's not heroic. That single reminder didn't stop him, for another voice inside him told him that it's fine because he will finally be victorious. Centuries after another, each passing holder vessel has all met their doom, fated. Even the poor, sick, fragile brother whom he did not deserve such fate became a mere nuisance in the grand scheme of things. But it's okay. Because he is here to be the savior, maybe even for the last time, and let those finally rest alas. For that to happen, he needed the bratty thief gone. It doesn't matter if he's young, it's honestly due to him being young that makes this all the most bittersweet. Bitter because it's a child who fell into the wrong hands and so quickly. Sweet because he will stop another century-long war and his precious new predecessor will be fine and make his way as number one with no problems and an easy outlet to shine and smile brightly. It's also a great help that Aizawa stands with him on this. Even more so after the incident that occurred yesterday. All Might shivered slightly as he remembered those moments he spoke with the younger teacher. You saw what now? People. People were behind his eyes and he seemed to radiate this intense energy that felt dangerous and threatening. You may be correct with his connection with this all for one. Did Nedzu tell you anything after? How many people? Were there 7? And to answer your question, no. Nedzu had not told me anything or has done anything to even move in the direction of holding the boy accountable. It's infuriating, and the most he has mentioned about this whole ordeal was this morning when I asked him about the meeting. 7. Well, what did he say? To not worry. How could we not worry? Kami, I knew we should have gotten the detective on board with us. Soon. Toshinori prayed for that soon to arrive. Toshinori should have prayed better. He didn't have enough time to have concerns about that. He has a class to teach and a mole to catch. He is a hero after all. Izuku was in his head. After his lunch with Hitoshi and Mei, he felt lighter and happier. It wasn't permanent, but it was still there. And for once he wasn't overthinking each and every detail, he was actually just arguing with Yoichi. Of course it was Yoichi, he was a free spirit and probably an ankle biter. Yeah, Izuku could see that. Why? Listen kid, I'm telling you. Spider-Man is like top fucking ow nana. And like I know Iron Man was a FING beast and maybe, just maybe, Superman was cool. What? No, Batman was cool. Why? No, and even if he was that cool that we don't take application and inputs from sticky kids. As I was saying, Iron Man is cool and maybe Superman. But Spider-Man? I'm telling you, NG, to MC and T-Ho? Any day. Any freaking day. Fragile brother pheasants. Was that All Might? Why? No, because I know this speech is not talking about me. Maybe the conversation would have continued had Nana not smacked Yoichi. Or the door to Izuku's class open and in came said beach. And language Izuku. Why? Yeah. Hey guys, the little man has finally cursed. Celebration time. Wait, the beach was still sheet talking. Izuku decided to block them out. He knew he should have blended it, everyone else around him had cheered but he couldn't bring himself to do the same. Especially after those insulting words he threw at Yoichi. Why, thanks bud. Izuku rolled his eyes, obviously aimed at Yoichi, but he wasn't in their little world of connections. He was at school and at a view All Might could easily see this little action. Maybe he should check, maybe he didn't see this small little action. With a tiny ounce of courage, Izuku sets his eyes to the grand figure only to slightly reel back at the gaze that was already set on him. Luckily, or unluckily, fate shall be decided later on. All Might decided to ignore this and excitedly stated what they should be doing to be the best prepared for the field. Soon, they were at ground beta in their hero suits and sunny smiles. Kaken had walked out before Izuku, and even if the latter was still angry with his friend, he couldn't help but admire his suit. Of course, he already knew how it looked and the small features of it, but to see it on Kaken? He really did look like a hero. Izuku, on the other hand, had walked out a little later than the other boys, his costume fitting him snugly and making him look like a hero. Any other time, he would feel like the world's eyes were on him waiting to see him crumble under their stare and mock him every chance they'll get. He would feel shameful and ready to slip into the shadows until he knew it was okay to come out again. Which makes this moment for him all the more vigorous. His head held high and his strides matched him perfectly. The darker shade of green borderline teal made his tan skin glow. The outlines of white lines on the sides of it made the other white accessories pop with a thundering crack. The red belt nicely contrasted the two other colors and yet perfectly matched along with them and his vibrant shoes. He had a one-piece bodysuit with a halter neckline, perfectly showing his muscles and freckled skin. For the bottoms, they were baggy cargo pants that weren't constricting of his movements. He'd taken a liking towards utilizing his legs. Though it may have been simple, it was enough to satisfy. Izuku was proud at what he, the Vestiges, and Kaken have created. He was especially content with the 9 buttons on his bodysuit. Yoichi is an influence. Why? Thank you. Who the hell are you talking to? Izuku let a small tug adorn his lips and an equally small chuckle escape his mouth. They say the clothes make the pros, young ladies and gentlemen, and behold, you are the proof. All Might grinned as his eyes passed over to each kid. It only tightened when he stopped at Katsuki and Izuku. Take this to heart, you are all now heroes in training. In front of him stood all 20 proud members of Class 1A. All sharing the sentiment of relief and pride. Some more than others. Yoichi, stop. You're freaking the rest of us. You all look so incredible. Now, shall we get started, you zygotes? In little time, All Might explain the process of the battle exercise and the importance of it. Most crimes you see are outside. That's due to the media having access to record and broadcast it all. However, that doesn't mean the toughest villains you'll endure will only ever be publicly casted. The real crimes lie in the shadows where monsters hide. It's statically proven. Even if his darkened gaze, Izuku knew that last part was aimed at him. Of course, All Might didn't stop there. He mentioned examples for those who didn't realize or couldn't imagine such crimes. It was just a cover-up for those who saw that steady gaze. For this exercise, you will be fighting 2-on-2 all indoor battles. Whatever All Might was going to continue with was cut off by Azui. Isn't that a little advanced? It reminded Izuku of his run-ins with All Might Toshinori. As much as he hates to admit it, he was anticipating violence towards the girl. Any type of abuse, physical, like she was a villain, or verbal, like he had once done. When none came, he realized that it'll only ever be him. That should be good. And no one had to suffer. The best learning experiences are those you learn on the battlefield. Izuku had mixed feelings about this response. Is he technically correct? Aren't they still young and don't even know restraint? Does he believe All Might would realize this? Not really. No, he's way too dense and stuck in the past. Others seem to be agreeing with Izuku's inner thoughts. All Might was bombarded with questions upon questions. Sir, will you be deciding who wins? Yaoyorozu questioned thoughtfully. How much can we hurt the other team? Kaken, everyone, Kaken. Should we worry about the losers getting expelled like Aizawa-sensei form of teaching? Uraraka sounded small and panicked but held together. Is this based on chance or competitive skill? Ida raised his hand and his yell was muffled by his robot face covering. Could he be considered a look-alike of a knight? No, that's more of Aoyama. Speak of the glittering boy and he shall twinkle a question out. Yoichi, you are okay, Thin Ice. Isn't this cape trace chic? In all honesty, All Might should have expected this, in humble Izuku's opinion. No, he was not being petty, he's simply stating facts. What did the donkey expect? Immediate knowledge on how to deal with teens who just got out of junior high and into a famous high school to follow their dreams? Or his favorite thing, fame? I wasn't fin-side tea-talking. The hero muttered deeply, barely audible. Long explanation turned short for your convince. There is a missile the villain team will hide and protect inside this building. The hero team will try to stop them before time runs out. To do that, the hero team must recover the stolen device or capture the evildoers. If not and the time runs out or the villains capture the heroes, the point goes to the villains. Now time is sensitive, so we pick teams by choosing lots. Ida stood a bit flabbergasted and questioned the hero. Isn't there a better way? Much to the hero's annoyance, but he didn't let it show. Thankfully, Katsuki came to his rescue. On second thought, maybe All Might wasn't lucky. Think about it, Four Eyes. Heroes often have to pair up with others and deal with it to win. Not that hard. Ida thought about it. Shortly, I see. life is full of surprises, forgive me for my rudeness. Just as Izuku softly whispered, or maybe he's just a sheet teacher. Katsuki was close enough to hear and chuckled. Izuku flushed a bit before returning his focus to the blonde donkey. No sweat. Let's draw. Teams. A. Izuku Midoriya and Momo Yaoyorozu. B. Mezu Shoji and Shoto Todoroki. C. Minoru Mineta and Ida Tenya. D. Katsuki Bakugo and Ochako Uraraka. E. Mina Ishido and Rikadu Sato. F. Yuga Aoyama and Ejiro Kirishima. G. Koji Koda and Tsuyu Ajui. H. Denki Kaminari and Kyoka Jiro. I. Funikage Tokoyami and Hantasiro. J. Mashireo Ojiro and Toru Hagakure. I declare the first two teams up against each other are these guys. Shown in All Might's hands are the two rubber ball D and A. I declare Team A to be the villains and D to be the heroes. Everyone else follow me so we can watch from the monetary room. A sweet chorus of yes sirs aired through, and all that was left were two teams. Friend against friend and an unspoken rule of giving it their all. Katsuki, one to never back down from a challenge, glared at Izuku. And Izuku, who newly gained an unstable amount of confidence, matched his glare and turned into a smirk. Good luck, Kaken. Bad guys, you can go ahead and set up for 5 minutes, then the good guys will be set loose. Yaoyorozu and Izuku set their way inside before being stopped by All Might. Young heroes dash. Isn't that painful to say? The key to this success is to think like a villain from their perspective. Only then will true heroes reign. Good luck. Yaoyorozu firmly thanked him and continued alongside Izuku. As they made their up the stairs, Izuku was fully panicking. Oh my Kami! Why did I say that to Kaken? Now he really is going to kill me. And it's not even purposeful. Izuku meant for it to ring inside the universe of the Vestiges but accidentally let it out in the open, and Yaoyorozu caught it all. Midoriya? Are you alright? Her concerned glance sheet him up. Is there something wrong? Izuku slipped into his nonchalant state and dismissed it. You don't worry about it, Yaoyorozu. It's nothing. She stared at him for a second, like she was second-guessing herself before she sighed, and whatever conflict in her head just settled. I'm sorry for possibly intruding in business that doesn't concern me, but if this is something that could affect our grade, maybe it's best to talk it out? If it's something that's got you worked up, then... Deep down, Izuku didn't want to speak. She was right, it didn't really concern her, but this will affect their grade and she seems very serious to exceed. And no, you're fine. Well, K kinda overstepping it, B, but you're fine. Kaken and I got into a fight last night and now I'm angry at him even if I know he did this with good conscience. Yaoyorozu continued to glance at him before talking again. I've not known you two for long, but I can tell your type of character and partially his. With yours, I can't seem to see you to be angry for long, so whatever this issue is, then I'm sure you're responding just as you should. It also seems as if Bakugo understood this. He's giving you space whether you want it or not. But it's because I see you to not be an angry type as he is one, that maybe you should try talking to him again. Or let him come to you and be open about things. You both seem to be great friends, don't let miscommunication meddle in. Izuku thought about Yaoyorozu's words. How she said it's okay for him to feel like this, how she believes his character is and Kaken's, and their friendship. She was right. He didn't want to let this issue crack the friendship they've been rebuilding and finally come to a better stance. He's angry, yeah, but he's mostly terrified. Of everything. He doesn't want to be scared anymore. He wants to be free. You're right, thank you. Now, how about we discuss our battle strategy? Izuku gave Yaoyorozu a wild grin and she stepped back in surprise before her determination settled in. I have a couple of ideas. I'm all ears. Ever since Katsuki been a little boy, he's always had one dream. It was a dream that he's held on for so many years and never had it wavered. It was the type of dream that seemed so unrealistic, so unobtainable, so far that he always dreamt that the one in a million would be him. It was as if the stars aligned just right the day he was born, and it blessed him with such luck and power, it had to be true. And the luck and power hadn't run out, it hasn't even made a dent, no scratch, no marking, no nothing. So that dream that would only ever stay a dream to those who didn't believe it was his. Many people dreamed a same dream, they walked the footsteps of those before them, they've cracked and perused, but broken china won't ever be repaired quite like it was before, once they realized that. Well, the dream died. They let it die. Katsuki hadn't broken yet and he didn't plan to do such thing anytime soon. It was a dream he held for so long, and even if he were to be broken, it's still his dream and it's still a reality he will die trying to accomplish. So what's the plan, Bakugo? The rosy girl stood next to him, a face of slight hesitation crossing her eyes, but her voice stood strong and determined. Win. Sweet sounds of children laughing, cheery bright smiles, and sunny blue skies are all things that made Uraraka gleeful and understand how beautiful it was to create such a tone with everyone at such a young age. It was her dream to let people continue to be cheery and live with memories of sweet laughter, not dreadful tears nor terror-filled screams. She didn't know how to accomplish it, but she did think heroes were pretty cool. As she got older, she learned to save money and only spend on what's needed, not wanted. She grew older and saw how her family struggled as business grew poorer. Because of that, her dream changed and her goals shifted. At the age of 10, she knew what she wanted to be when she grew up. When Uraraka got buried under rocks at the entrance exam, she was more worried about her parents' financial aid than her well-being. She was worried about possible medical bills and not getting into the top school for heroics, herself being bedmed. Over and over she kept thinking why no one saved her. Why did they all ran away? Didn't they see her helpless? Where was the hero? She cried hopeless tears, so when Izuku flashed by all she saw was glittering green. She felt relived and hope, but it was wiped away when she heard him say he didn't receive a single point. She felt guilt then. They soon got to talking and she departed feeling a little bit better and prayed to what every deity was willing to hear, that Izuku would be a hero. Letting them be friends in the same class was a little greedy, but she still prayed. She's happy she did when she saw him talking to two of her other classmates. She was happy even with missing the orientation of the school. She was happy proving her strengths to the others, but mostly to herself. She wasn't happy when her teacher made a dig at Midoriya's lack of growth. There was a small purple pervert who scored higher than the boy who defeated the zero-pointer. It didn't make sense and there was obviously some tension. No one missed the sudden shift in their classmate nor the tense teacher. When Uraraka looked to her right, she saw Bakugo tensed and ready for what? She didn't quite know. After that day, she came to her little apartment that was close to her school but far from home, and sat at the doorway. She sat there for what felt like an eternity and went over the past month. She hasn't met many heroes, but she's seen them on social media and most don't seem to be kind. They seem like assholes. She went into UA thinking heroes would be different, but her first time meeting one, are all of them like that? It made her rethink her own personal goals and dreams. She wondered if becoming a hero for money is selfish despite the motif behind it. Uraraka thought she knew what type of hero she wanted to be, but now? What type of hero does she want to be? It came down to a vague idea of pride. Ochako Uraraka aspires to be someone everyone can be proud of for the right reasons. She just didn't know how. So when Katsuki answers with a single word, she's left dazed but ready. Any bright ideas? He didn't answer her verbally, instead he gave her a wicked grin, and when hers matched his, that's when the plan begun. Deku's smart. And based on how Ponytail got into the class, it means she's clever too. We can't expect them to play by the rules, either one of them has something up their sleeves. You and Dash. Uraraka starts out. Katsuki's gaze was looking at the building in front of them, but his focus wasn't gone. Izuku. What? His name is Izuku Midoriya. When Katsuki did turn to Uraraka, he caught her confused. Oh, but you do mean Dikaru, right? Uraraka's brows were furrowed and she had a small pout. I call him Deku, like useless. That's kinda mean. The pout didn't loosen. Yeah, but the nerd won't let me call him anything else. Weird as F, but that's him. Yeah, that is kind of weird. But he presented himself to me as Dikaru, well, probably Deku. Anyway, so you and Deku, are you two fighting? It won't get in our way, will it? That's none of your business, round cheeks. Now about this plan. The plan was simple. They infiltrate the building, Not by taking the front door but through the windows once they found their location. Next they would be ready for battle. It was decided that Katsuki would tackle Izuku and Uraraka will tackle Yaoyorozu. They would obviously win and boom, winners are the heroes. Katsuki made sure to not underestimate Izuku. He told Uraraka to not do so either. He knew that Yaoyorozu is smart and thought to himself to not underestimate her either. They did. Katsuki has Uraraka on his back after finding out her limit. They both decided it would be better to have her save her strength. She was on a lookout for any possible shadows or bombs poking out from the window. She found it on the 4th floor and went for the kill only to be stopped by Katsuki. Wait, throw something at it first. It could be a trap. Uraraka did as she was told, and when ropes wrapped around air, she felt her face flush. I see your point. Told you to not estimate them. Duly noted. They entered carefully and came to realize there were 2 bombs and only Izuku at the location. Izuku had a small pout, but it was all for show. I'm guessing the window trap didn't work out too well. Katsuki and Uraraka grinned madly. It was slightly intimidating, but Izuku didn't mind. He found it amusing and wasn't that unsettling. So, what do we do now? Izuku leans on a bow staff and returns them a mischievous grin of his own. You're really enjoying this, aren't you, Deku? Katsuki didn't waver even if he found this to be a bit intimidating. Whatever, he has to get used to whatever side this is of Izuku. Gotta have fun, Kaken. Izuku winked and then abruptly, oh, and Kaken? I'm planning on winning today. What? No, that's not true. My partner and I plan to win this. That's when the real battle begun. Izuku rushed to capture Uraraka, knowing very well that Katsuki would jump at the chance to beat him himself. He was planning on it. And as he predicted, that's exactly what happened. Down to the second, Katsuki swerved out of a left hook and dodged a kick to the stomach. He returned the violence with his own starbursts, crackles of heat. He barely got a hit in when Izuku turned the tables on him. Izuku went to sweep his legs under, but at the last minute he spun around and gave Katsuki a roundhouse kick. The metal toe was sure to cause a bruised rib, but even then, it didn't fend Katsuki away for long. Izuku didn't expect any less from his best friend. He laughed a bit when he thought about the plan Yaoyorozu came up with. It was perfect, and he was certain the students back at the base were questioning his lack of care for the young girl. He's letting Uraraka come close to the target he's supposed to be defending, and win. Yaoyorozu played with their mind too. They both could fly into the building, so why don't we set up a trap in the original location of the bomb? Yaoyorozu whispered as if the two could hear her. She looked nervous and unsure, and he didn't know why. The plan seems brilliant. There could be more, but she's probably not done explaining. Yeah, that sounds good. Is there anything else? Izuku encouraged her in hopes to hear more about it. And it worked. She still looked nervous, but there was a gleam in her eyes that told him how serious she is about this. How passionate she is to prove something. What if we made 2 other bombs? Wouldn't you have to know what this bomb was made of? Izuku looked confused, but he wasn't not on board with the idea. Not necessarily. They don't know how it looks like, so I can make 2 exactly alike while the other is on a different floor. And for extra protection, you could be there as well, and if you have enough. Lipids. But have so many questions, and I don't want to scare you off, but after this can I please know more? The simple interest and no doubt praise flustered Yaoyorozu. It's a powerful quirk, she knows, but no one has had an interest into details like Midoriya was bound to be. Why, sure. Awesome. Okay, so back to the plan. If you have enough lipids, then you could set up traps there too. If we don't capture them, then we could always win by wasting time. Izuku talked a bit animatedly. Yaoyorozu noticed. It was adorable how big his eyes were and how passionate he seemed to be. Yaoyorozu herself was a bit shy, but as she grew more comfortable and excited about this activity, she let her be a bit animated too. What if instead, I stay up here with you but have a capture weapon? And the bombs could have their own capture tape built in, so when contact comes to touch and you on standby dash. We could capture them and win. Katsuki didn't like the laughter, it put him on edge. He also didn't like there was a 50-50 chance at instant triumph and that Yaoyorozu wasn't there at all. But he trusted his partner enough to get the bomb while he took care of Izuku. The 2 friends exchanged blow after blow and only stopped when there was a shriek of panic. Katsuki whipped his head back and saw Uraraka trapped in capture tape. Young Uraraka has been captured. In the small amount of time he was caught off guard, Izuku took that chance and floated away. It was only then that Yaoyorozu shot that final blow and winning capture. Young Bakugo has been captured, villains win. Izuku and Yaoyorozu cheered and went to help their classmates out of the restraints. Yaoyorozu unraveled Katsuki and Izuku untied Uraraka. This was your plan, wasn't it? Yaoyorozu didn't expect Katsuki to comment anything, but then he did and she was lost for a moment. Midoriya helped greatly. Ponytail, I know Deku, so I know how he thinks. He may have helped, but you did most of the planning, didn't ya? Katsuki wasn't angry and he wasn't disappointed either. Sure, he wanted to win, but he could bring himself to feel so negative. Yaoyorozu is too humble to take credit, but she totally did. Kaken. I only offered the capture bombs and that's it. Izuku and Uraraka walked back to the other two. She did? Yaoyorozu, you're so smart. Uraraka comments, any feeling of regret flashed out of her mind, and you made these bombs too? Where even is the real one? This time Yaoyorozu didn't hide her smug grin and laughed alongside Izuku, the middle of the first floor. As if sensing a sudden threat, Izuku took hold of Yaoyorozu and floated out of the building right as Katsuki blew up. Izuku would worry about Uraraka, but she was also out of the building the moment they took off. Not because she was running away from Katsuki, but to capture them on her own. What the hell, Deku? The day came to an end and Yaoyorozu was voted to be MVP of today's challenge. She waved it off as if it was nothing, but Izuku could tell she was swelling with pride and happiness. The nervousness was gone and was replaced with bits of confidence. She promised to give Izuku more details about her quirk if he promised to be friends with her. And a deal like that, who was he to refuse? Yaoyorozu also made him promise to sort his issues with Katsuki. She still didn't know the full story, but she knew enough to worry about her new friend. Just explain to him why it upset you so much. I'm sure he will realize how important this is. Izuku waited for Katsuki by the main gates. The wait wasn't long. He didn't expect it to be, since Katsuki just had to get a kiss from Recovery Girl and be on his way. He was still mad, less than before, but mad nonetheless. Izuku was also tired and scared. He didn't exactly feel like getting jumped and be warned of ancient boogeymen. All he wanted was to talk to his friend and walk home without any problems, and for that to happen he needed to actually communicate with said friend. Katsuki didn't show his surprise, nor did he push for Izuku to start talking about whatever he wanted to talk about. It was a train ride later that he felt the guilt hit like a tidal wave and the words came tumbling out, I'm sorry. Izuku hummed in response. I know how sensitive you are about being quirkless and now having a quirk. The change was sudden and I sure as hell know you aren't caught up. You've had years of abuse because of me, and you're bound to be fed up in some sort of way. Trust being one of them, huh? Really went downhill. Too caught up in his own head, he didn't notice Izuku wasn't walking beside him anymore. He was feet behind and his head was down. His hands were clenched and Katsuki could see his shoulders shake, and if that was enough of an indicator that he was crying, the tears he saw fall were. You really did F up, Kaken. I know I forgave you about the bullying you've done and it still stands, but it's like you said, F'd up. I knew that Netsu wouldn't be too discriminative if things turned out to be worse, but I felt fear. For the past years there wasn't a time in my life where I felt truly happy. And now that I have you, my mom, your family, and the past holders of One for All, I'm terrified to lose it all because I'm at a place where I'm finally worth it. Katsuki knows Izuku is a crybaby. He's known him for his entire life and sometimes swore those tears are a quirk of their own. But after all this time of knowing him, he never knew a time where Izuku cried for himself. He felt like shit. He didn't know. I already have 2 heroes on my butt and a possible third one. They're all respected heroes and one of them is the Kami Demon #1 hero of Japan. Izuku finally looked up to see Katsuki. His sight is blurry, it didn't matter, he didn't need to see. And you can't tell me I was worth it before this quirk. I had no one until they came to save me. Kaken, if Float hadn't manifested in me that day I almost died, your blood would have been on my cold hands. I know you're strong with your quirk, but that D-Day. That day was a FNG mess. Katsuki seemed to have built up his own mix of tears, vision blurred, but his voice was strong enough. I understand your fear. Maybe not like you, but I get it, and you have every right to feel that way. But that's the only part in which you're correct. We wouldn't have died that day. I would have saved you like you did to me a day prior. You don't know that. Voice wobbly and teary, Izuku still managed the sentence out. I wasn't about to let you die in front of my Izuku. Izuku didn't answer, he didn't know how to. And about you just now having everyone? I wanted to make amends after the sludge villain incident. And you've always had your mom and my parents love you. My mom wouldn't have told me she believed in my dream if I've never gotten a quirk and applied to UA. We both know DMing while applying to UA is something you would have done no matter what anyone would have said. We also both know that's not entirely true either. Izuku shrugged because yeah, he had something to prove and a dream that was calling out to him. The vestiges didn't come until after. They were still trapped in BGMI. Besides, they love you so much that they transferred from that Mirio guy to you. I don't even think that's how the quirk works. That is interesting, isn't it? Sure is, nerd, but don't change the topic. Look, even if you hadn't gotten Yoichi and the others living inside of you, everyone knows you would have made a great quirkless hero. One like those pre-quirk era heroes. Like Iron Man or Batman. Katsuki sighed and closed the remaining feet between them. Don't talk about the bat. Excuse me? Katsuki blinked, not really knowing if heard correctly. Yoichi. Why, I've been summoned? Kaken dash. You accept your worth and I won't say shit about the bat. It shouldn't be a hard decision yet. Here was Izuku wondering if suffering from Yoichi's lecture about Batman being something or accepting something he probably should have accepted. Are you seriously thinking about it? No. Just give the others a break. You also need to gain some confidence. You're probably right. Sure as hell I am. The two walked the rest of the way together in peace. Their friendship wasn't strained and there wasn't any fighting, it was an improvement they both had worked hard for. Too many years have they been apart for something silly like a status that shouldn't even determine someone's worth, someone's rights. Do you think I need therapy? Izuku asked after a bit more of silence. Personally, he didn't think he did, he was doing just fine. Yes. Clearly, the others thought the same. How the hell do you just appear? Katsuki screams. Yoichi smiles like a madman before ignoring his question and talks with Izuku instead. The brat is right, Izuku. We all care about you a lot. Also before you ask and I have to actually answer you or Nana will have my but we voted I should be present when Nana isn't. Is she not there? Oh you know, she's busy being a girl boss and spying on BGMI. Okay then. Toodles. Yoichi ruffled the boy's hair before departing. Katsuki and Izuku shared a glance before silently agreeing to never speak about this again. The final moments of the walk him was strange, but it wasn't because of them. Yoichi he just has that effect on people. Why, I like to call it style and influence. Yoichi, I swear to... Nana liked to believe she was a good judge of character. Who she let into her life and who she left. The moment she met Yagi Toshinori, she believed he was what was right for this world and who could fix the mistakes of the old. Until he wrote what wrongs of world with his own. She knew Yagi had turned old and maybe even a little bit bitter. Nana knew when that bitterness had turned into cold hate. She knew when extra punches at villains were just to satisfy and because he could get away with it. The villains knew the image of All Might, the symbol of peace. When they were getting justice beaten into them, it was just that. They didn't see the excess force of their evil doings, and no one questioned him if they did. Who would believe them anyways? A once golden glow of electrifying bolts, dancing like fireflies on his skin, had just waned until it was in the shadow of a bright young boy. Nana used to blame herself. She believed if she just won and continued to fight for him and live for him, maybe he would have continued to be her sweet angel that she used to know. For the longest time she was over-analyzing and worrying and regretting. The others were worried about her, and there came a time when she was about to do something crazy. She doesn't know what, she just remembered the feeling. One of the others gotten a grasp on her, and that hadn't ended as great as she could have handled it. Nana, look at him. Before, she thought, Why would he want her to see the many failures of her life? She still looked. Why? Why did you leave me, Nana? You had so much to teach me, you had so much to live for, but you went and left. Did you not care for Gran Torino and I? What about the son whom you left behind? How selfish are you? I know, Toshi, I know, and I'm sorry. But for you, I'll finish what you never had the chance to complete. I'll end that excuse of a man and tear him to shreds for hurting you. With this power that you gave me, I'll be the hero. I won't be a nuisance to society anymore. I'm not quirkless and useless anymore. I'll keep my promises, so watch me from wherever you lay to rest, Nana, because here on out, this is my legacy. And you know what else, Nana? You were right, I was missing something from my goal. Being realistic. No one can save everyone. That's stupid, and I will surely die in vain. That Gray, you said you weren't sure there was, you were right. There's heroes and there's villains and there is nothing in between. I'll try and not be selfish like you and die on my successor. What the rest had hoped for, Nana acceptance that this wasn't her fault, was nugatory. They were left with an even more depressed hero in their passing seconds. Why couldn't she see how terrible his words were? How is it that he could say those accusing words to her in the afterlife? What could she do differently? Not go after all for one, maybe? Her mind betrayed her. All the years in following Toshi wherever his dream led him to, she saw the little boy disappear, and in place of the old she caused a terrible new. He was right. It was the worst part of it all. Had she not gone, she would have seen all the accomplishments and smiles he caused, not sham-like stunts for the press. It wasn't until she heard him come to terms with his selfish behavior. What am I doing? I've killed a man who didn't deserve that kind of punishment. At the most he just needed a California smash, but he got death. Nana, don't you see how much you've led me from my dream? I've killed a man because of you. How could you do this to me? Had you not died? It still haunts Nana's restless nights what happened afterwards and what she saw. She saw what was the beginning of this faux symbol. She saw how he broke into the most sinister and twisted smile. His laugh could shake a room, and the walls turned ashy and horrid. No. He spoke. His sunken crystal eyes stared harshly at his reflection of a tinted window. How can you blame the women who raised you to do better? She was pure, not like you. So fake, you're in imitation of a lie. This was always the plan, wasn't it? To become a hero, to defeat the written evil and be praised for it. To officially leave the past behind because you're not a nuisance anymore. You're not like those filthy rags begging for food on the streets. You live in a penthouse because of what you do. And who's going to believe he didn't deserve such a death? Nana was pure and kind, and you've manipulated her into giving up such power for a cheater like yourself. But pure doesn't win, and pure isn't justice. I had to do it. When Yagi Tashinori finished his piece, he winded back his fist and punched the window image of his face and took the broken glass in his fists and ran the shards over his face. He beat his sides and pulled golden locks from his head. His tattered clothes gave into the image of his declining health. So when the camera showed his powered fist into the air and his strained smile, they let out cheers instead of cries. The man's family who've been left to watch the news on a pass-by from shopping shrieked with pain. The mother, who was made window, held her own screams as she simultaneously held her heartache and thought what she would do now. They had no money, no husband, with children and a broken-down apartment. What could he have done to deserve such a death by the symbol of peace? He wasn't a criminal. His quirk wasn't even an emitter type. He had bare ears and a tail and looked harmless. He wasn't in any gang. He didn't have bear-like powers. He was putting money into the bank and he left with no life. Did he deserve this? Why were people laughing and cheering? This fight was only a couple blocks down the street and there wasn't any commotion. The news says this was a chase against evil. It wouldn't be until a week later did HC come and apologize on behalf of All Might and paid her 2 million yen. He even wrote her a letter in apologizing for the mix-up, says he was still new. He's been a pro-hero for half of a decade. The villain that was supposed to be captured, for a crime not even worse than murder, was captured and obtained legally. Media never covered it. The widowed women just sat there with a broken heart but continued to survive for her children. Nana watched over them every now and then. All Might forgot about it in a month. The rest of the Vestiges? Well, they watched over Nana and help her survive too. Nana likes to believe she's a good judge of character, and for the most part, she is. She knows when to leave those behind to better herself and when to let people in. She's made many mistakes before, many of which she regrets. Like leaving her baby behind so he wouldn't grow up an orphan, seeking and fighting a century-year-old villain and dying. Maybe she should regret giving Yagi Toshinori the gift of one for all, but she doesn't. If it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have gotten to meet Izuku and helped him survive. All that she wants now is to forgive herself truly. Nothing of what Toshinori caused lays on her shoulders. He was always seeking for a new chance. He was always hiding behind a dream. Nana was just an excuse to him, not a mentor, just a stepping stone. It hurts, she'll admit, but she can let people go, and so she tries. She's not ready now, but she's starting to accept it. They're going to be under attack. W8 what? A couple days before. Do you just happen to pick up strays? The sentence alone earns Hitoshi a carrot to the head and 2 pairs of raised eyebrows. It's a valid question. It's only the 3rd day of school and you've managed to earn yourself 2 new people. Hitoshi stares blankly at Izuku, not even minding the 2-1 fidgeting person. Explain. Izuku mumbled something softly before responding to Hitoshi. Well, Kaken has always been my friend. No, shut up, you have, and Yairozu just happened to be the person who joined. She's super smart and her quirk is dash. Hitoshi grumbled before signaling for the 2 to come sit with him and Izuku. He picked up his chopsticks and continued to eat. Hey, where's Mei? Hitoshi looked up and shrugged, said she had stuff to do at her lab. Izuku looked thoughtful for a second before realizing that she would be busy, especially with her talent. Mei is already outgoing, which would be great for getting clients, not to mention, she practically already has 2 clients and she doesn't even have an actual legal business. Mei hasn't demonstrated her inventions to them yet, but the way she's been ranting about them makes Izuku excited for Mei. Though, he couldn't help but feel the tense static in the air. He looked up from his food to check that Kaminari wasn't around but was met with thorny expressions. What's wrong? Izuku asked to no one in general. Momo decided it was best for her to answer, which he knew was the right choice. Kaken would have howled. Nothing's wrong per se, it's just new. You and Shinso are close friends, but I feel as if I'm intruding here. I'm guessing Bakugo must feel the same since he isn't as loud as he can be. What was that ponytail? Kaken just proved her point and realized that before Tsking and ate his spicy curry. Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't even realize this. Momo smiled before suggesting they do an icebreaker. She had in mind a regular question, something simple and not invasive. What's your quirk? Katsuki interrupted. He didn't look like he cared, but he wouldn't just ask this just to ask. Kaken. Still, Izuku found it intrusive. The glare he gave Katsuki didn't exactly bother the blonde, but he wasn't as unbothered as before. In all of this, Hitoshi had dropped his chopsticks and made himself smaller, his whole breezy demeanor changing. Wouldn't you like to know, hero? His tone icy but not threatening, it was defensive. Now, Katsuki had been taking his anger management therapy weekly, but he was still human who had years of practice with harsh retorts and cheering misguidance. It's something puny dash. Really, Izuku should have seen something similar to this outcome in the future, but he was too happy to introduce more friends to Mei and Hitoshi. With Kaken's harsh words, now manageable, and Hitoshi's drawn-back self but lack of reassurance in himself, an accident is bound to happen. An accident like Kaken's blank eyes and still movement, like he was waiting for something but he wouldn't act by himself. An accident like Hitoshi's palling face and quick drop of his quirk and almost bolting out of his seat had Mei not chose this moment to trap him inside. Hey, I'm Mei, future owner of Hatsum Industries. Pst Izuku, what happened? Why do they look shocked dash? I'm so sorry. Hitoshi blurted, dropping his hold on Kaken. His frame slightly shaking and he closed himself off even more, his breezy look no longer an image that what he thought of him. Momo sat back with her mouth wide open but a certain gleam in her eye, and she couldn't help herself when her mouth moved faster than her brain. You have a mind control quirk, don't you? the smile she gained didn't disappear even after she realized how impolite that was of her. Hitoshi didn't even acknowledge her, too busy waiting for Katsuki's reaction now that he's been trapped by Mei. Worry line decorated his face, and it wasn't just him who was awaiting a response from the rowdy blonde. When Katsuki fully got back to his senses, he didn't glance at Hitoshi, which seemed to confirm fears of the lilac boy, and turned to his best friend. "That's one hell of a quirk. Have you been under it?" The others may be a bit panicked, Mei especially so as she readies herself to pounce of the ruby-eyed boy. "You better not mean that in a degrading manner, 'cause if you did, we're gonna have problems, ya hear?" Even if it isn't the right time, Izuku laughed and smiled. Kaken wasn't mad about the lack of control or even mind-possessing experience. He was thrilled, but he has a reputation to uphold. Hitoshi turned in surprise at his supposed friend, fear all forgotten, and similarly Mei looked even more enraged. Momo continued to be elated but controlled herself to not outwardly express it so openly. Not that it had mattered much anyway, her blurted words still hung in the air, waiting for confirmation. "Kami, I'm sorry for laughing Hitoshi, Mei, but I was worried Kaken was back to his old self." "He's not, and he's not mad at you, Hitoshi. Kaken has a bit of a pride going on, so he won't voice his thrills findings, but I promise you he isn't mad." Izuku's laughter came to a cease and he took a hand and held it out for Hitoshi to accept. "I promise you they aren't like that." Hesitating, Hitoshi accepts the outreaching hand but not before muttering, "You don't know that for sure." "Of course I do, don't be silly." Izuku smiled warmly before turning to his excited peers. "Guys, Hitoshi has a brainwashing quirk and he's in the Gen Ed program here at UA." Hitoshi waited for the screaming, the taunting, the humiliating jeers at him. He's waiting for every response he's known since he's told people about his quirk. Though he's gotten acceptance and pride from his response, the dreadful mocking outweighed it significantly. But this is UA and he, alike with Izuku and so many more, hope to believe that UA is different. He hasn't been disappointed yet, and he won't have to be anytime soon. "How didn't you get into the hero program?" Momo asked with genuine curiosity. "I'm sure Midoriya has already told you how useful your quirk would be in the field, which explains why I'm so surprised. I just don't understand." Hitoshi faintly looks at her with a bit of bitterness, but he couldn't be mad at her. It wasn't his fault that she grew up with a good quirk and, by the sounds of it, money too. It wasn't him who answered her though, it was the boy who he brainwashed in the first place. "Listen here, Ponytail, while you got in through recommendations, the rest of us 36 first years got in through the practical exams. We had to fight robots and eye bags over here, looks like he's never lifted before." Izuku went to add on about the bias exams and blatant favoritism towards those with powerful quirks such as Katsuki's, Todoroki's, Yaoyorozu, and Kaminari's, but those are just his class. Class 1B seems to have strong teens too. If anyone were to really look or even feel the odd levels they're in, they could see. They don't have to be from the hero course, anyone could see it. So in other words, the exam is just a bunch of bullshit. Mei commented, her cheery voice forgotten and a pore settled on her lips, but she wasn't done just yet. There could be so many top heroes had these exams focused on strengths other than muscles, and Hitoshi is just an example of it. What do robots prove? Raw strength and control? What about the hearts of the heroes? Actually, they do seem to look out for that kind of stuff. I got in solely through rescue points and first place too. Though I still can't figure out why Hitoshi didn't get in with us. Izuku looked lost in thought, and the only intel that he was still with them was through the lack of mutters. Katsuki and Yaoyorozu looked equally shocked at the last comment from Izuku. Not so much by the rescue points Katsuki knows well and Yaoyorozu knows it's something only Izuku could do. It's more of the fact that Hitoshi could have gotten in but didn't. I don't understand, what do you mean by that, Midoriya?" Mei decided to answer again with a slight scoff. Which part? UA secretly being slightly prejudiced, or that Hitoshi didn't embarrass his but with his lanky self? Hitoshi groaned, obvious from embarrassment. From what? He didn't exactly know. It could be that he was stick and bone or that he had a chance. And isn't Tot infuriating? Having the brains to do so, but something or someone just decided he had a villain's quirk, because that's all that it comes down to. Quirks and quirk status. Katsuki looked angry. "You know something, don't cha?" May matched his anger, possibly. When a lock of her hair fell into her eyes, she blew it away and then picked at her nails. Momo turned, and whatever happiness she felt, long gone and forgotten. She herself knew how extremely lucky she had been to be born into wealth and power. She knows she may lack social sense and may come off as prissy, none of which she intends, but she's been sheltered, but she knows what is correct and what is awfully wrong. Shinso could have gone into the hero course, but someone stole his chance. Her gray eyes looked like steel and her tone is wild with rage. May shrugged her shoulders and suddenly looked saddened, but why? Why would she look like that? Izuku wondered, but he didn't have to for long. You wouldn't believe me even if I shared. Izuku, with all his bright mind, it finally clicked in his head. His head snapped to Katsuki's and the latter. His ruby eyes widened and tiny explosions let out from the palms of his hands. Try us. Izuku calmly yet lividly. The internal struggle inside May's mind disappeared when her golden eyes met Izuku's clover ones. I heard Power Loader Sensei comment something about a student getting more points than this one kid. The one who has a diaper for a costume. At the time, I didn't know who Hitoshi was, and it didn't really click until our talk from last time. Power Loader complained how amazing a brainwashing quirk would be in this industry and the support items to be created. May took a sip from her water before continuing. He was complaining to Midnight Sensei about it. I was about to ask who, because no filter, when she continued in for him. Said something like, my thoughts exactly. After that green-haired boy told him something after saving him, he really took his shot at the exam and destroyed those boys even with his quirk. I also saw the way the purple grape kid touched the females. Genji perv. The kid, I think Shinso? Yeah, Shinso, he got more points in both rescue and villain, but All Might just had to go and say something. It's partially why I may have sabotaged his costume. Izuku would love to say he couldn't believe it, but he's been a victim to the hero's obvious discrimination towards those with no quirk. He was furious, livid, fuming. He was a mess. I hate that beach so effing much. Katsuki muttered. His fists clapped tightly against the palm. Why does he think he's so high and mighty? Just cause he's the symbol of peace? What right does that give him? Izuku whispered hoarsely. The three others looked confused and shared looks of concern. Hitoshi was the first to break the silence. What happened before? May asked with a slight cheer of happiness, but when she realized how awful and probably traumatic an encounter could have been, it was gone from her voice. Why, you believe me? Why? Momo seemed to match their fury, all while holding the other emotions. Excuse my language, but are you shitting my D-dash? Though it was a heavy conversation, Izuku and Kaken couldn't have been more shocked. Why you know Gen Z memes? Holy shit, Kaken. See, yeah, I get it, nerd. Ponytail, welcome to the club. Anyways, to answer the other two bozos' questions. Yes, something extremely effed up happened, and no, you're not gonna know. At least for now, but that's Izuku's call, not mine. Izuku decided to shrug a response before he went to say anything, but that's when two alarms went off. The upper-class men ran to exits, and so did the younger students from his graduating class. A good response to crisis. His own class looked confused, and so did the group he was with now. Izuku heard Mina ask what was happening to a rushing upperclassman and barely heard his response. Some inside. That's when he took everybody and rushed them the closest exits. The school alarm still rang but was quieter than before, but the other one, why wouldn't it shut up? It didn't calm down even after he saw it was only the press from this morning who asked about All Might and his teaching here at UA. It annoyed him, but people didn't really know All Might. Guess he had done his job somewhat right. That doesn't matter right now. Izuku had to focus on the task beforehand, and that's to stop people from trampling over others and causing more harm than good. He let Nana's power wash over him as he floated to the top of the exit. Izuku blew in a large breath and exhaled it as he yelled, "There is nothing to be worried about. It's only the press, so there should be no reason for all of us to act so wild. Calm down before someone really gets hurt if they haven't already. Those who are injured go to Recovery Girl's office with someone to help, while the rest of us take action that best fits this situation." Later on, Izuku would be reminded by Nana how proud she is of him to earn the title of Vice President of Class 1A. She tells him that even if he gave class president to Yaoyorozu, she's glad he did what was best for him. Nana also tells him to talk more about this issue with Shinso, Mei, and Yaoyorozu. Says she has a feeling they will be great allies and greater friends. Izuku doesn't argue with her on that and decides to sleep with comfort, knowing he helped people today during the break-in, seemingly forgetting the eternal alarm. So when he wakes up, he takes the warning about his day ahead at UA as a silly dream caused by the ruckus from yesterday. They're coming. You all aren't to say,